Right. So, this is a new caller record I got offline a few days ago. I'm gonna try to, like, explain as much as possible. Because I don't plan on doing more caller runs after this. So I want there to be, like, a good explanation of everything that happens here. I don't know. And when I did XD commentary, I was able to sort of just talk about whatever for the most part. Because XD is so long and has a lot of moments where, like, nothing's really happening. I might have to be a little more dialed in this time, who knows. There was something funny about this where I was just doing offline stuff, so like I don't bother with, like, sometimes I just like won't show stats on screen for a while when I'm doing offline stuff, just because I don't need to. So you aren't actually gonna see Espeon's stats on screen. Hold on, I have to get the chat on screen. One sec. Chat here. Now you guys can see chat. Not bad. This is not in Trilly's Discord. This was... I mean, I can find the date of the VOD. This was done on the 3rd, 2 days ago. Just I was offline. I was offline in the morning. I did some attempts. I actually hopped in there after I was done because there were people in there, but it was like early in the morning. No one was in there, so just an offline thing I did by myself. Alright, where'd my phone go this time? I can't keep dropping it. Okay. So I didn't show Espeon stats until I caught the Quill, or until I, like, started the Rosso fight. So you'll see Espeon stats later. Yeah, that's true. I'll show Espeon stats later, but for now, I can just list them off. It's 23 IV HP, 18 attack, 30 special attack, 31 speed, 11 defense, 27 special defense, grass 70 rash. So it's not going to show up until later. It's not really relevant. You don't need to know these things, but yeah. Yeah, if you have any questions or anything you want explained, you should let me know. I don't even know if you can see the cat. You probably can't. There's a cat in here. She came to watch the record. Yeah, we're just showing it off a little bit. Safi, come back. You can barely see her in the background. She's going to eat. Yeah, this is the first sort of showcase of this run. I had the same thing with my XD record where I sort of waited until I could do a commentary before I made the run public. The she could be coming to hang out with me, I don't know. The run will be up, the raw VOD will be up public on my YouTube, and then this will be highlighted and put on my YouTube. It'll also be highlighted on Twitch. It'll be easy to find. Yeah. I don't even... Fucking the beginning's boring, man. What the fuck am I supposed to talk about in the beginning? It's a good thing I'm not actually taking commentary seriously, or else it'd be a problem. Yeah, if you're watching this and you don't know anything about this game, I cheated and got an Espeon with good stats to make the game easier. I feel like nothing really interesting happens until I catch Quill. Then I have more stuff to talk about, but... we'll get to it later. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. The Whismur and the Zigzagoon that we taunted 50-50 to be unable to attack from the taunt, and 50-50 to just use an attacking move. It's faster if it doesn't use an attacking move. The reason we don't use Bite or attack with Umbreon is because it's faster to taunt than it is to use a damaging move that doesn't kill. I feel dumb about not showing the stats immediately now. When I do offline stuff, I usually don't have the stats up just because it doesn't matter. But, like, now I feel dumb about it. I name her A because we used to think it was faster, even though it's, like, the exact same speed. Doesn't actually save time to name her A. It's just a... Literally, I wanted to start naming her Rui again because it's barely faster. Yeah, my setup sucks, bro. I hate it. But yeah, I think naming her Rui is technically faster. And I wanted to make the switch. And I tried it a couple times, and I literally just name her A because it's easier for me to do. I just have, like, muscle memory for it, and it's easier than trying to name her Rui. Safi, come here. Come here. Unfucking believable. She hates me. I have no plans on running Colo any percent. Ever. Again. Maybe some other categories, who knows? Certainly not this. Yeah, unfortunately there's not really any interesting other categories, I think. There's some other categories that other people have interest in, but, like... I'm super uninterested in, like, any other color category. The only one that, like, I think I would consider would be Croc, just because it was something I did before. But I really don't have any interest in that. I didn't mention it, but 3 super potions, because, they're useful, man. Those will come in handy. I'm just, like, thinking about what I should be talking about, but, like, everything that I'm thinking of would be, like, more relevant later. You don't use heals on Firma in this route, you're a fool. True. I'm just wondering if I might have forgotten some small things in this run. I remember when I did my XD commentary, I forgot how many hyper beams I missed. I thought it was 2, but it ended up being 3, which was a funny moment. It was a nice little weird surprise when I missed my 3rd. Oh, that actually reminds me. I did have one idea. So I'll say this now to preface it. I think it would be fair to say that this is the luckiest Pokemon Colosseum speedrun ever finished. It's close, but I think it's fair to say that, and as such, I will be having a counter, like I did in the XD video, for move misses. Not just Fire Blast misses, but moves missed. Including Fire Blast. So... bruh, why is it so huge? Okay. Right about there. Little move counter for total moves missed. That includes Fire Blast, that includes anything else that could miss. There's going to be a counter for every single move I missed in this run. This shop is basically we get rid of items we don't need to afford the amount of X items we want. I didn't realize I fucked up that many, that's cool. Yeah, the way 32 works out is that it's generally a few extra. I think the way this run ended, I think I finished with 3 X-Specs. So I actually finished with some extra X-Specs. You'll probably notice a couple spots later where I skipped one where I usually wouldn't. But this run was very unique stats-wise with my pokes, so I was able to do a lot of things that I would not normally be able to do. Yeah, and then we get a great ball because, how else am I supposed to catch Makuhita? It is great. So yeah. Trying to remember how good my Rasa split ended up. I know it wasn't crazy good or anything. Had the good taunt luck. And I don't really remember what happened after that. But yeah, this whole beginning segment is just getting the items we need for the run, getting the pokes we need for the run, and then taking off. So, in my brain, in my memory, there were 3 things in this run that went poorly. And only 2 of them were, like, significant. So 2 things cost me, I don't know how to describe it. 2 things cost me, like, a decent amount of time. Like, there's 2 things that went fairly wrong that were annoying. And then there were 1 or 2 smaller things that went wrong but are sort of didn't really cost me any significant time and weren't really outside of what's expected. There were just a couple annoying things that happened. We'll get into that, Sammy, when we see it. But yeah, from memory, there were 2 segments that weren't great in this run. And that's about it. Something annoying about this run was that, like, it's not necessarily a great showcase of the route, because I did so many things that aren't necessarily written down explicitly in the notes. I took a lot of liberties with my stats and things I could do with that you wouldn't normally see. So yeah, well, I got the 3 taunts, I got the 1 flinch, and then Leer over Nightshade. So, good segment overall. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, I mean, I'll talk about that in a bit. So yeah, Makuhita, if you've seen a call run, you may not have seen Makuhita being caught. This is helpful for the experience route. I won't really go into further detail, it's more easily shown than explained. You'll see that later. The thing with the stats and me taking liberties is less about that you shouldn't do it. It's like I mean it's the same thing with XD. It's just like, and I mean it's really the same thing with like probably any Manipt run, which is if your stats are very, very good, you can do things differently than you would like 95% of the time. If your stats are like within that percentile, it allows you to take certain liberties and do things differently, but you have to know that you can do those things differently. So it becomes like you can get the lucky stats, but you have to know how to leverage the stats to your advantage and use them to save as much time as possible. So yeah, in order to leave the town, you need to either catch a Bayleaf, or you have to fight a trainer with a Shadow Bayleaf, Croc, or Quill, or fighting this guy because he has a Quilava, and Quilava is, well, it's cooler than Bayleaf, and fire's cooler than water. And obviously we're catching it because it's faster to catch than it is to kill it. At full health, that is a 40.41. Fuck, I should know this. It's 40.96% to get in the ball, man. I remember things. It's fine. And of course, never lucky spoink crit. That spoink has battle armor. Yeah, look at 1830. It's sort of like a good, not great first segment. And the funny thing about the stats is that based on the stats, there's only one possible nature. When I saw this, I wanted to reset it, and I almost did. I decided to fight Kale before resetting. See how Kale goes. So, explanation for those who don't know anything about this game. Shadow Pokemon have a heart gauge. You lower the heart gauge to relearn moves, gain experience, and eventually purify your Shadow Pocket Monster. Different natures lower the heart gauge by different amounts based on different things. And mild is really bad for purifying. So we have to enter hyper mode and then call out of hyper mode, which will lower the heart gauge. I'm going to do that 4 times. Mild is tied for requiring the most calls, but it is 50% to enter hyper mode, which is arguably the best. It's always 50%. Most natures vary depending on where the heart gauge is. Mild is always 50%. Also, naive and gentle are as well. Always 50% to enter. And you're going to see a very interesting Kale fight because of it. I'm going to be trying to get my calls in and trying to survive this fight. So I want to call Quill out of hyper mode 4 times. So I'm just going to talk about the stats. There's nothing really. Like, this battle's kind of funny. You'll see how it plays out. My philosophy for a while was I don't want to run modest or mild. And the only plus special attack I would run is Rash. And that's because plus special attack is bad for purification. I didn't want to run modest, quiet, or mild. Rash is the best among those, so I was okay with that. But they're all really bad. And this run served as a sort of wake-up call that if your plus special attack with a very high special attack IV, you can make up the time lost in calls in later fights. And this run is going to showcase that very well. So 50-50 to enter hyper mode. I missed it turn 1. This Furret is random to use Strength, Shadow Rush, Quick Attack, Helping Hand. Strength and Shadow Rush are bad. They do a lot of damage and I don't like that. Shadow Rush is a 90 power typeless move. In case you didn't know, I don't know. So, no hyper mode turn 1, killer alts. Hyper mode turn 2. That's 1. What the fuck? I didn't mention this earlier, but if you ever see me return something and knock it out, it's because it's faster to return stuff than it is to confusion stuff, slightly. So I actually targeted SB here with Shadow Rush because I didn't want to not enter hyper mode, hit C dot, and then have it buy the damage back. So if I didn't enter hyper and I targeted C dot, I would have had to kill C dot and not been able to try to get hyper mode more. So that's call 2. We didn't enter hyper mode on turn 1, which is good, and then we entered on the 2 subsequent turns. And now we're gonna stall here, try to get hyper mode. That's hyper mode turn 3. That's call number 3. And that's hyper mode number 4. So that's all the hyper modes we need before we can, or like, to get experience on time and get Flame Wheel on time. When you empty 2 segments of the heart gauge, you start gaining experience, which is why we want these calls done. So I didn't enter hyper on the turn I didn't want to, and then I entered on every single turn after, which is, so I got perfect hyper mode luck, which is a big part of why I was able to continue this run at all. That's true as I pie. So I'm gonna, what can I say about the stats? Like, this quill is very strange. Like, it's very bizarre. Its IVs are terrible except for one. It has one above average IV, and that is special attack, which is almost maxed out. It's the only one we need to be above average, which is good. Basically, when we're doing quill resets, we're looking for above average special attack on Quilava. You can generally work around everything else, but things like bad attack and bad speed are annoying and slow. So I actually have enough attack to pretty safely kill everything I want to kill with Quill. So the attack isn't really an issue. And I'm not high, like I'm low speed, but I'm not minus speed, and I'm not such low speed that I get outsped by a ton of things. So I'm fast enough to where I'll outspeed pretty much everything I want to and should outspeed. High speed is better, more beneficial. This speed is totally good enough. And the defenses are kind of funny, but I'll talk about it more later, where Quilava's poor defenses, they're annoying early game when Quilava is stuck at level 30, not gaining experience. Because then it's a little underleveled and you're worried about it taking too much damage. But once you purify Quill, you'll see the bad defenses will start to benefit me in very significant ways. And it was actually super advantageous that Quill's stats are the way they are. Yeah, some other stuff. When you're in hyper mode, if you use a move other than Shadow Rush, there's a chance you can't attack, or that Quill picks a different move, or like it can do a bunch of dumb stuff. So when we're in hyper mode, we'll only use Shadow Rush. Shadow Rush 90 power typeless move. When you're in hyper mode, I don't know if I can get an exact number, Juan, if you have one. It's about 90% to crit in hyper mode. So it's high damage output, even though you're restricted to only one move, because you can hit everything neutrally, and you're doing 90 power with a crit almost all the time. About 91, yeah. It is not a choice band. You can use non-Shadow Rush moves. The reason we don't is because I think most of the time it'll just do something else. It can like not attack, it can hit itself, it can use a different move. There's a lot of things it can do. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but usually when you pick a non-Shadow Rush move in hyper mode, it doesn't work. Or your poke will do something else. Switch out. Yeah, like I don't know all of them, but that's the reason you'll never see anyone not use Shadow Rush and Hyper. Let's talk about ranges. You guys like ranges? I have the spreadsheet on mobile so that I can more quickly check ranges. I know that Sandshrews 1. Is it a 1 in 8? I should know that. Alright, man. And that's our last hyper mode. So, we didn't enter hyper the one turn we didn't want it, and then we entered every turn after, which was why I was able to run the mild nature in the first place and continue. Sandshrew is a 1 in 8 to kill with Confusion. Shadow Rush on Barboach is a 50% to kill. Would you look at that? I was thinking of maybe doing like a ranges missed counter, because that will be a good one too. I thought this one would be more fitting. So because we did all the calls, we are going to start gaining EXP pretty early. That's open to interpretation, whether or not it's dead. I think it's pretty foolish to ever call a speed game dead. It's not something I would do. So once you are starting to empty the third bar is when you start gaining EXP. Not when the first two are empty. When it cuts into the third one is when you start gaining EXP. So I'm gaining EXP starting now. And it will just sort of stockpile the EXP until it's purified. So Natu is a 9 in 16. I said this before. I think it's fair to say this is the luckiest callless speedrun ever. I don't think that's a stretch at all. But yeah, because Kolava's attack is just kind of mid and not great. I never even showed it, did I? So let's move the camera for a bit. That's not the camera. Let's move the camera for a bit. These are the stats. Just so everyone has an idea of what we're looking at. The attack's kind of mid, so we get a lot of Shadow Rush ranges early. Such as this Cacnea. This Cacnea is a 1 in 2. Obviously you can see how things like bad attack would be an issue and why you'd want better attack than what my Quill has. These are both 50-50 to use quick attack. We don't want to see either one of them use quick attack, but I only got one. So yeah, basically everything until I start pointing out otherwise is completely random AI, which is why they're just doing dumb stuff. This Vulpix is a 7 and 8, and I missed the crit. So I mentioned there was two things that cost me significant time, two segments that weren't great. This is one of them. I say that the one thing that cost me time is the nature, because missing a rush crit, that's pretty whatever. You miss one rush crit, you know, it happens. You expect to miss one. The 4 calls really hurts. It cost me about 2-ish minutes. Probably, I think because of the perfect RNG, it might have cost me a little less than that, but it cost me about 2 minutes. Compared to like a 0 call, which isn't like average. So like on average, it probably cost me closer to like 60, 70, 80 seconds. Anyway, we're back with more ranges. I shouldn't have the Goldeen range memorized. I want to say Goldeen's a 1 and 2. Yeah. So yeah, that X item thing, a pretty old glitch, was discovered uh, probably like 7 years ago at this point, 5, 6 years ago. If you use an item that won't have an effect on a Pokemon, it will give you this item won't work text, and then you can use an X item after that, and it will apply the X item to that poke, because you normally can't apply an X item to a different poke. So we take advantage of that a lot. You'll see it a lot, where I'm using Quill to use X items on SB. Maybe on occasion I'll use SB to use an X item on Quill, who knows? But yeah, Goldeen was a coin flip. Delibird, I believe, is 916. So, if I'm correct, so far we've missed 0 ranges. I'm gonna double check Ralts, because Ralts wasn't guaranteed either. It gives me crit numbers, so it's hard to say. It looks like Ralts was a 5 and 8 to die to Shadow Rush. So we missed 0 ranges. We missed 1 Shadow Rush crit, but that's average in a run. But yeah, we've only missed 1. We've missed 0 ranges so far, which is a big one. So yeah, just because of the 4 calls, the bad nature, I ended up losing a lot of time on that segment. You'll note I'm comparing to balanced splits. You might not notice that. I was gonna say you'll notice it, but I'm comparing to balanced, which is basically, I mean, for the purpose of this, it's basically just a good run, a good not great run, and then my balanced splits sort of don't work too well starting at the Dakeem split, because the difference between my gold segment and like my average segment is very large, so it stops working around there. I think within the next half hour I do change my split comparison to my PB comparison and not the balanced comparison. So when we get that, it'll be a little more descriptive of where this run actually is. But a 36 Merez, anything that's a 36 is like, 36 is like bad, but you can still go, and it's not a big deal. Anything above 36 is really, really bad. Yeah. So I don't think I mentioned this earlier. Shadow Pokemon are a little annoying in this run because when you're fighting them, they have random stats. They're the only pokes in this game to have random stats. Every non-Shadow has empty IVs and empty EVs. Shadows, and they also have fixed natures. Shadows have random natures, random IVs, empty EVs. So the stats vary a bit, and a few things will pop up because their stats vary, you'll see. So Furt and Yanma both are, I don't have the exact numbers, they're around 50-50 to outspeed SB. I don't think we saw if SB outsped Furt or not, because it used priority moves. But we saw SB on outspeed Yanma there. So basically we're trying to avoid damage on Quill for the most part in this segment. Basically when you cut into your final heart gauge bar, you'll get Flame Wheel back. You slowly regain your moves as you lower the gauge. That is a 916 and the first range I missed. Yeah, so this segment plays out differently depending on your Quill's nature. If it's a good Purify nature, you get Flame Wheel early, and you want to take damage so that you can get Blaze and then use Blaze Flame Wheel on a lot of stuff in this segment. If you have a bad Purify nature, you want to take less damage. I did miss Sandshrew, that's right, I forgot about that one, because that one's just super unfavorable. And it didn't matter because I need Hyper Mode, but you're right. So that's 2. See, this is why I don't even have a counter for it, because I'd already lose track, so I'm an idiot. See, the missed moves is easy. But yeah, Bad Purify Nature, we don't want damage on Quill so that we can stay in Hyper Mode. The reason why that's important is because you can't use items on a Pokemon in Hyper Mode, which means we can't heal, we can't use status items, we can't use X items, we can't use anything. So that limits what we can do a little bit. So we're trying to avoid damage on Quill. And we're going to use Shadow Rush crits as our damage output until we are able to use Flame Wheel, which will not happen for a while. Now we got a pair of ranges here. Halo is a 15 and 16. Hoot Hoot is a 7 and 16. And now we're going to do something that is not in the older any percent route. This is in the newer any percent route, which I should probably talk about, but I'll talk about it later. This is going to help us. This is basically going to be part of the experience route. It'll make more sense later. We are going to deposit a Pokemon. Oh, right. I totally forgot I did this. That's right. I forgot how I did this segment. Because I was mild, I wanted to guarantee I would only have to heal Quill once. So I actually didn't heal there. Or use the PC there. I actually did that later and I totally forgot I did that. Oh, what the fuck? I have all these fucking these Shadow Rush ranges wrong. I'm insane. They're literally all wrong. I had minus attack in the fucking attack column. I'm so full of shit. I'm so toxic. That's hilarious. I'm so stupid. They're literally just all wrong. That rules. Anyway. Fuck. What number is that? That's a 3 and 8. I had this fight a little weird. I didn't use next spec, and then it's a 3 and 8 to Oko Barboach here. I'm revising my rush ranges. What the hell are these? Ralt's guaranteed. Boach, oh fuck, they're all 100%, just barely. Like literally just barely. If it was 1 point lower, it wouldn't be. That's funny as fuck. That's unironically hilarious. I'm so stupid. Okay, so I went ahead and did these two fights because these two fights have good AI. Where good AI is basically, I would say the definition of good AI is that if the opponent can KO something, it will attempt to KO it with its most powerful move. Even though there's caveats to that. If it can kill with a priority move, it'll pick a priority move. If it can kill with a 100 accuracy move, it'll pick a 100 accuracy move over a non-100 accuracy move. It'll pick moves that don't have negative side effects, such as if it can kill with a recoil and a non-recoil, it'll pick the non-recoil move. That crit on Remoraid was good. I think it's a 3 and 8 to kill Remoraid. What do I got? What do we got here? 3 and 8 to kill Remoraid. Which was helpful, because if you miss the Remoraid range and then you get paralyzed by a Thunder Shock, you just die here, which is annoying. But yeah, I think I went back and healed now. So the effects of the bad nature bled into this segment a bit, but not too much. I think the Firma segment ended up being like decent for what it was. I thought I set up the spreadsheet properly beforehand, I'm just dumb. So, two things. One, we get rid of Umbreon. Don't want it. It's not helpful to us. 2, heal. I want Quill at high health, so it doesn't just die somewhere in the segment. So, those two fights have good AI. The only other fight in this segment, or like in the building, other than the bot, yeah, other than Firma, the only other fight in this segment that has a form of good AI is I don't even know her name, man. Odie? Because it's custom to force the pokes into using dance moves. So it's like if it can KO, there's like a horsey, and it'll use Dragon Dance if it can't KO something, because it's like haha funny Dragon Dance AI. That Voltorb is a 7 and 8. I wanted to give the Electric a turn over the Voltorb because the Voltorb is more likely to do damage to Quill. Electric is 1 and 3 to use an attacking move, and that attacking move is Quick Attack, which would barely do damage even if it did use it. Voltorb is 2 and 3 to use an attacking move. It has Sonic Boom and Shockwave, and so overall it is a 1 and 3 to attack Quill, and no matter what it does, it will do at least 20 damage. Electric, on the other hand, is a 1 and 6 to attack Quill, and its Quick Attack, I want to say it will do like 5 to 8 damage around. Actually, I could probably just find it in here. I have the spreadsheet open. 9 to 11. Much less than Shockwave's 20 to 24. So Espeon actually like went on a little rampage here. It crit the Doduo, which doesn't matter because it's guaranteed, but it crit Remoraid, it crit Doduo, and it is gonna crit something else. So it did crit for it, that's true, but I'm more thinking about this segment. But yeah, Espeon did get me a lot of beneficial crits throughout this run. I didn't know how I wanted to do this fight going into it. Normally you would just have Flame Wheel, and this fight's pretty elementary with Flame Wheel. I wasn't sure how I wanted to handle it. Thankfully, Espeon took matters into its own hands and solved the problem for me. I ended up double targeting Spheal because Spheal is more dangerous and has more damage output. Snoru's attacks are slower, but Spheal has more damage, on average. And Espy just sort of solved the problem. So Snorunt has 1 really slow move and 2 not slow moves. So of course it rolled the slow move. I was really hoping for a miss here, but never lucky. So at this point, Quilava is basically useless for the next 2 fights. And I need to call out of Hyper in the next like 3 fights, basically. So I could have called on that last turn against Tura. I think it's technically faster to do what I did, just barely. So the Oddish will always Petal Dance. The Horsey, if it can KO something with its Water Gun, will use Water Gun. If not, it will use Dragon Dance. And I have nothing in KO range, so it's going to use a status move. And Quill can't KO anything here, so I call Quill, waste a turn with Quill, and take out the Oddish before it can attack. And allow the Horsey to use a status move, which is faster than allowing Oddish to use an attacking move. Sandshrew, if it can KO something, it will using Scratch. If not, it will Swords Dance. So I'm going to KO Horsey before it can attack, and then just dig with Quill, because it's slightly faster than calling. I'm just wasting turns with Quill at this point. So this is more of just the bad nature bleeding into this segment and costing me some time on these fights. Normally you would just Flame Wheel the Oddish, which is usually arranged, and you would just hope you hit it. Or you would just double target it. This fight's annoying because Quill can only OHKO the Oddish, and SB can OHKO everything. So if you don't have Flame Wheel, Quill can't OHKO anything, and you just have to do that fight slowly like that. I don't remember how I did this fight. I believe I used a strat that's not seen very often. This one's me pulling back from my Croc experience a little bit, breaking out the X-Specs. Normally you wouldn't see an X-Spec use here, but I saved one earlier in the segment on the Carvana fight, and ended up just using one here instead. We do have a couple extras, but generally you want to save as many as you can in case anything goes wrong. But yeah, I think Hackney's moves are on average slower, Tentacle's moves are on average more dangerous, so I just got rid of Tentacle, and I got Cackney's fastest move, so it worked out alright. And I do believe we now have Flame Wheel for our next fight, which is important because our next fight is like, we don't need Flame Wheel, but we would either need to be in Hyper Mode or have Flame Wheel for the fight to be not incredibly slow. And we would much rather just have Flame Wheel, because if I kept Hyper Mode, my heart gauge would be higher and I wouldn't have Flame Wheel for longer. So like this segment time is like decent. I think it ended up being like a good segment for a bad nature, but sort of a mid segment overall. It just wasn't great. It's definitely good for what I was given though. I sort of hit a couple good ranges, got a couple good crits, and ended up with a better segment than I deserved, all things considered. But yeah, now I have Flame Wheel for Spinnerack. If I didn't, I'd have to Shadow Rush either it or Remoraid. Like, probably, I think you can try to Shadow Rush Remoraid out of Hyper, but it's like a range, depending on Remoraid's stats, which is dumb. So I had an option here. I could either use Shadow Rush and risk entering Hyper, which is a 50%, or use Dig, which is guaranteed slower, but won't enter Hyper. So basically using Dig is faster than entering Hyper. Using Shadow Rush, using Dig is faster than entering Hyper and slower than not entering. I ended up just taking the safety. Dig is closer to not entering Hyper than it is to entering Hyper, so in this case I felt it was worth it, even though I might have done that differently if I redid it. It feels kind of weird to be using like a safety strat there when like this run was like pretty not great. I definitely remember like Oh, there's my switch to PB comparison. Because I wanted to like check. It'll change full time soon to PB. I don't remember when exactly, but eventually I do just make a full switch to PB splits. So this is the newer Firma fight. This is where a big change in the EXP route happens. So the way we used to do this is... Okay, this Apom, by the way, is a... I should know this. It's 11 and 16? I do believe. Might be 10, 16, 5 and 8. I think it's 11 and 16. The way we used to do this is that... So there's no better way to do this than just letting Quill die here, so that's just part of the deal. The way we used to do this is we would send out Umbreon here, Mantine would basically target Espeon over and over, and Espeon would just sort of KO stuff around Mantine, and then Mantine last, and it was really slow and annoying and stupid and dumb. So we came up with a better way, where we use Makuhita here. So this fight has good AI, which means it'll use its strongest move on the Poke that takes the most damage from it, which means that Mantine is going to target Makuhita here. And it is almost going to KO it, which puts it in death range to Furt Quick Attack. And what this does is that for 3 Pokemon in this fight, which are fully evolved, fairly high-level pokes, higher level than us, we are going to gain full XP instead of splitting, which is a very, very large amount of experience compared to how it used to be done. I think we're gaining about an extra third of a level. About that. Generally, we don't see how much EXP stuff gives when you're a solo, but like this is a really good showcase of like how much EXP you get when you're the one poke killing stuff. Like it's a lot more than you think. And then for it's a coin flip to use Quick Attack here, and I won it because apparently all I did this run was win coin flips. So I didn't really know how to feel about this run like at the end of this segment. Basically 56 is an incredible run, like a low 57 is really good, a high 57 is just good, not great, and then 58 is just sort of acceptable, low 58's like just acceptable, whatever. Anything like above low 58, like high 58 or into 59 is pretty awful. So I didn't really know how to feel about this run. I decided that because it was a terrible nature and I lost time because of the nature, that this run was pretty good for what it was worth, and that I was just going to keep going and see how much time I can save based on that sweet, sweet special attack stat on Quilava. Yeah, this fight's stupid as hell. One day we'll have a better way to do this, I believe. Until then, I'll keep getting headbutt from the stupid Lanoon. Like, I'm fairly certain that, or like, I shouldn't say, without an X-Spec, Quillfish is like a range with confusion. So like, you know, there's some potential there, you know. It's totally not worth it though. Yeah, Quill's HP can matter a bit in this segment. It sort of depends on if certain specific things happen. But taking that peck there isn't the worst thing. It's not great, but it's pretty whatever. I think Horsey's has 3 moves, which it picks at random. Supersonic, Mud Sport, and Peck. I don't remember if it has a fourth move. And then Lanoon is Odor Sleuth, Sand Attack, Mud Sport, and Headbutt. And the only really annoying one's Headbutt. Sand Attack, if you miss, or if it hits Espeon and misses, then it's really annoying, but other than that, it's pretty whatever. So, normally in any percent, in the next cave here, there's 2 item boxes, which, depending on the runner, will be grabbed. There's 2 Hyper Potions above us and 3 Ethers to the right of us. I grabbed neither. Where we're going, we don't need Ethers. Ethers are basically, a relic of the older route. They're not needed in the current route. They're sort of just a relic from older stuff. So Meditite has the same catch rate as Quilava, and we want to catch it because it has a nice held item. I don't think I mentioned Quill has a charcoal. Most shadows in this game have a helpful held item, not all, but a lot of them do. And we're catching this one because it has a held item we want. So, probably the worst thing about this run are the captures where they're 40.96 with a Great Ball at full health. And the reason we don't weaken them is because after one hit, well, one is that you can sometimes kill them with a crit. There's, especially with Meditite. Meditite can, like, it knows high jump kick. If you damage it and then it misses high jump kick, it can die. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong, but basically the reason we don't weaken them is that if you were to weaken it, it doesn't even become a guaranteed catch. It then becomes, I don't know the exact percentage, it's between 78 and 79%, I believe. It's around 78% to catch after one hit. Quilava and Meditite. So it doesn't even become guaranteed. And another reason we don't do it is that even if it takes 2 balls to catch a shadow that we catch, that is faster than weakening and then catching in the first ball. So the captures are really annoying, but we don't have a better option. Like, the alternative is just so much worse. Something interesting with my Quill's health here is that I just left it without full health here, even though we're about to face a poke that has pretty good damage output. And the reason for that is if Quill takes 1 hit in the next fight, it will get knocked into Blaze, which can be beneficial for this fight depending on how it goes. It's just one of those things where I felt the potential of entering Blaze was more useful than, like, the risk of dying, which is very low if I didn't heal. So this fight's a little weird. This fight can be done in a couple different ways, but it's almost always done this way. Dunsparce takes 2 hits to kill. The other 2 pokes in this fight take 1 hit to kill. Mareep knows Thundershock, which can paralyze. It knows Cotton Spore, which is annoying. The Cacnea I think it has Pin Missile, so it can be annoying if we let it live. Like, so the other stuff in this fight's annoying, but it's not as, like, they're less, or like the things that aren't Dunsparce are more annoying than Dunsparce, even though Dunsparce is annoying as fuck. Dunsparce, pretty much, I think it always 2 hits Quill with 2 offensive moves. It's 50-50 to use an offensive move. It has Glare, Yawn, Shadow Rush takedowns, 50-50 to use an attacking move. So it's 25% to hit either poke. You see here, Quill entered Blaze, which ended up being useful here because it allowed me to 2-shot it here. But yeah, that's the benefit of not being at full health there, is I got knocked into Blaze, which helped me secure this KO. Normally, you would hope you're not paralyzed, and then you would Flame Wheel Cacnea and 2-hit this with Confusion. I ended up having to do it this way, and it worked out because of my health setup. Yeah, like, the Dunsparce is really annoying, but generally it's the least annoying thing on the field at all times, so we give it the extra turns, other than Mareep or Cacnea. And there's actually a heal machine like right in front of us. It's faster to just use potions to heal rather than the heal machine because it's a little bit out of the way there. And I had a really high potion count. I hadn't used a single potion up to this, or like a single super potion up to this point, so I was okay with just burning a super there and that not being a big deal. So, funny story about the Swablu. For some reason they gave the shadow pokes in this area are a little annoying. Swablu here has two annoying moves. It has Fly and Sing. Its other two moves are Safeguard, Shadow Rush, which are pretty nothing moves. If it uses Fly, you have to wait a turn to finish the KO here. And if it uses Sing, it's 55% to just sort of own you. It's a very, depending on stats, very unlikely range to OHKO it. Unfortunately, I got literally the worst outcome. Yeah, it was just sort of unfortunate that it ended up this way. I mentioned a couple small things went wrong. This was like one of the small things I remember going wrong, was just Swablu being annoying. Not a huge waste of time, but certainly not optimal. Probably cost me around 15-ish seconds. Nothing crazy, but nothing good. And yeah, there was some fights with good AI before, but all this stuff was random AI. Even Mirabee's a boss, like a boss trainer, and he has like random AI outside of, or like mostly random AI. His AI will force Rain Dance when Rain is not on the field, and the level 31 Ludicolo will like always Leech Seed, the thing that it does more damage, or like always Leech Seed. I think it always Leech Seeds SB. Like it just Leech Seeds because it's a big troll. Lombre, I believe, is a 10 and 16. And I critted anyway. But yeah, I haven't really pointed any of it out, but like, there's already some stuff here that like Twisted Spoon has helped us knock out. We actually want Quill at full 8 health here because there's a chance it has to like tank a water gun in this next fight, which can be annoying, but generally you want Quill at full health and Espeon like somewhat healthy. This fight can't really damage SB, but you don't want to be like super low health or damage can stack up or you can get crit or something. But yeah, there's some stuff that like Twisted Spoon was important for, like it helps with Dunsparce, it helps with well, it's huge in this fight. It makes Swablu a range, it makes Lombre a range, like a lot of small stuff that like that might not get pointed out makes it beneficial. So I got a weird combo here, 28-29. Basically you want the 29 to show up later in the fight. That's like the only thing that really matters in this fight, is you don't want to see the 29 early. You basically want to give the 29 as few turns as possible, because it's the only thing that outspeeds Espeon in the rain, and it knows Astonish. It's only 1 in 6 to Astonish SB, and that's only 30% to flinch after that, but it's significant enough that you really don't want to see it early in the fight. You want to give it as few chances to astonish you as possible. But yeah, good demonstration of the random AI here, where it could have almost OHKO'd Quill and it just targets SB for fun. So So yeah, there isn't a better way to do this fight other than just boost the hell out of SB and just go. The 31 Ludicolo is kind of funny. Another reason we need Spoon is this Ludicolo is a 15 and 16. Yeah, we luckily didn't see Astonish from the Ludicolo here, which was good. A benefit of this route over the previous route is that we get our level ups earlier because of the different experience route, and a benefit of that is that we level up during this fight instead of at the end of this fight, which now means Espeon outspeeds the level 31 in rain, which was impossible in the previous route. So now the 29 is not an issue and it cannot flinch me. That's the reason we want to see it later, is we want to see it after our level up, not before, so it has no chances to flinch us. But now it has no chances. Funny quirk about the Ludicolo here is that if it happens to pick a move that would target Quill while it's underground, it just won't and will instead default to Rain Dance. So you just get a nice little coin flip there for it to have a move with no animation. This was a route change I came up with that I don't know if it's written down in the doc. I feel like it should be. It's a little bit faster to knock out the 29 here before the Sudowoodo. The reason is, before we killed the Sudowoodo first because we were slower than Ludicolo, now we're just outright faster, we can get rid of it, and Sudowoodo has a chance to target Quill, which means we have a chance to skip a move animation, whereas previously we did not. So it's just sort of, we're giving ourselves a chance to skip a move animation, and also, I mean, yeah, that's it basically. We're giving ourselves a chance to skip a move anim. And also, Quill's guaranteed to be faster than Sudowoodo. Yeah, I ended up losing about 25 seconds on this segment compared to like Gold. Probably around 15 seconds to an average segment. And pretty much all of that was just Swablu Sing being annoying. It was a good segment otherwise. But yeah, this run was I really didn't know how to feel about this run. It was very strange because I lost a lot of time from the nature. I'm significantly behind my balance splits. But with a 4-column nature, a 112 Mirror Bee is really good. Generally, the scale is sort of 109 is like God tier. A 110 is really good. A 111 is sort of good, not great. And a 112 is sort of acceptable. Anything 113 and above is pretty just terrible outright. So like this run, it was annoying, it was frustrating, but considering it was a mild Quill, it was really good for what it was. And so I decided 112, like a low mid 112, was good enough to at least try to continue. So I kept going. I want to say I changed my comparison around here. Oh, I don't even remember where it was though, man. I don't remember these things, I got a bad memory. So, the Merez segment was one of the 2 segments in this run that went poorly, or didn't go great. Unfortunately, this is the other. So this run is very strange. But what you're gonna basically see is like a mediocre first half of the run. And not to give away too much, but what is probably by a very large margin the fastest second half of a Colosseum run ever, by probably a very large margin. I wouldn't be surprised if everything after Scrub was the, like, Scrub to Evis was the fastest Scrub to Evis ever, like, by multiple minutes. I would not be surprised. But unfortunately, we're going to see a little more time lost in this segment. This segment was the most frustrating segment of the run by far. Like, up until this point, I was sort of just playing, because I didn't want to, I basically didn't reset because I didn't want to do more manip attempts, so I was just like, I'll keep this run going. And then this segment ended up being pretty frustrating. But yeah, I did something funny in this fight. I will just preface this by saying, don't do this unless you know what you're doing. I'm guaranteed to kill Carvana with return, and normally we would kill Carvana with return turn 1. These two pokes are 50-50 to use Surf, and Carvana's Surf does more damage than Spheal's Surf, so Carvana's Surf has a chance of putting Quilava in Blaze. Spheal's doesn't. It left me just outside of Blaze. Actually, I don't know if it can put me in Blaze. I'll take a look at the exact damage here. I think it barely just can't put me in Blaze. But it puts me one hit out of Blaze from anything else in this segment. Unfortunately, everything here is random AI, so there's no good way to get Blaze here, but basically that puts me one hit out of Blaze, and give me a chance to do this segment a little more quickly. Blaze can be beneficial for the second part of this segment here. If you can get it, like, quickly in the first fight, or, like, luck into it somewhere here, it's beneficial for the last couple fights. But it's pretty risky, so it's just sort of like a risk tolerance thing. So, my special attack stat on Quill is 67 and allowed me to go for something here, which, again, don't go for this unless you know what you're doing. So, Shroomish, Flame Wheel, 3 and 16, Confusion, Cacnea, 7 and 8. Normally we would just Flame Wheel Cacnea and 2-hit Shroomish with Confusion. This gave me a chance to one-turn this fight. Not a huge, like a great chance or anything, and I did miss the range, but I decided that it was worth it to gamble on that chance. And then we got a Mega Drain, which would have put me in Blaze if it hit Quill. But yeah, I lost like 10-ish seconds to Effect Spore here, which sucked. Punished for trying to go fast. But again, I am one hit out of Blaze. So if I can get one hit in the next fight, I'll be in Blaze. So I can probably check the math here for Baltoy. It's not accurate, which is frustrating. But basically, there's a very small chance here without Blaze. With Blaze, I'm guaranteed to 2-hit Baltoy. Without Blaze, there's a very small chance I 2-hit Baltoy. And I got a decent return roll for my attack stat, but just wasn't quite enough. And that also didn't put me in Blaze, and this also didn't put me in Blaze. So I was given 3 coin flips. No, not coin flips. 3 1-and-4s to enter Blaze. No, 2 1-and-4s and 1 1-and-3 to enter Blaze. And none of them worked. So Quill is at this really awkward health where it is just outside of Blaze. Now, normally you would have Quill near or at full health for the next fight. The only exception is if you are already in Blaze going into the fight, then you can risk entering the fight with Blaze, and then depending on what the combo you get on Scrub is, you can safely carry Blaze through the fight, or you just basically risk dying at the... You're basically like weighing the risk of keeping Blaze compared to the risk of getting a bad combo and dying. But I didn't really have any options here, so I just took the awkward HP and healed it to full. So I get too many questions about this fight, so we're gonna give a... This is gonna be my explanation of this fight. Okay. Pikachu level 50, its only move is Quick Attack. Hitmontop 38, Intimidate. Its only move is Shadow Rush. It's not the same Hitmontop as in the fight, it does not have random stats. It is just a Hitmontop. The Hitmontop in the fight has a black belt, this Hitmontop has a bright powder Pikachu can miss. Pikachu can win this fight because it has static, and if Hitmontop gets paralyzed turn 1, it can just not move for a billion years, and then it's really dumb and stupid, and then it can die. If Hitmontop loses this fight, the fight goes on as normal, nothing bad happens, it just keeps going. I don't know why anything weird would happen. What, do you think the game's just gonna crash if Pikachu wins? What are you, stupid? Anyway. Yeah. This segment didn't go well for me. It mostly just dumb things out of my control. I'm confident that everything I did in this segment was right, and that I made the best play at every point possible, and I just ended up just not working. So correct me if I'm wrong on this Hitmontop. If it can kill Quill with triple kick, it will turn 1, or it will use triple kick turn 1. I don't know if there's an exception to that. I could be wrong. So, Hitmontop stats are random. Quill stats are random. There's no reliable way to know if it can kill you with triple kick. There's no reliable way to know if it will use triple kick. I fucked up this menu, but that's pretty whatever. I was basically scrambling to try to get Blaze here, and my gamble was that I, on average, am dead to triple kick, and it will use triple kick, and my gamble is that it uses triple kick because it can kill, but I live triple kick and am in Blaze. Didn't work. It used Focus Energy, which is what it uses if it can't KO anything on the field, and I'm just sort of stuck here at full health, which is basically the worst case scenario for this fight. You want to take damage with Quill. I have lost my one reliable way to take damage in this fight, and by reliable I mean not reliable, but yeah, basically now I'm just stalling with Quill, wasting Quill turns and chipping the Why Not until, and knocking out the actual dangerous stuff with SB. But yeah, this Why Not's it just spams Mirror Coat. I don't know if there's a way to make it not use Mirror Coat. I've never had it not use Mirror Coat to me. I know it can use Counter, I don't know what caused it to use Counter. And that was another coin flip one. No hyper mode entry. So yeah, basically this segment was just stupid. A handful of dumb things that went poorly. And then I just couldn't get Blaze. You want to get Blaze in this fight, and you at least want to take significant damage. And it just didn't happen. So now this run is like, I'd say 2 minutes behind a good run. But I mentioned before that because mild is a 4-call nature, it basically cost me 2 minutes. And if the way I was thinking about it was basically I'm 2 minutes behind a good run, and that 2 minutes is all because of the calls. So like I'm on a good run, I just got a bad nature, basically, was my mindset at this point. And my gamble is that my stats would just provide some time save later and I could beat my PB. Normally we would visit the shop here. If you have a high special attack Quilava, you can, and you have a good potion count, you can actually just skip the shop entirely. The main reason we would go to the shop is to buy some potions and buy a calcium. I have, I believe, 3 supers, 4 potions. I have high enough special attack on Quill where a calcium would not be beneficial for me to get. And so I get to save about 30 seconds just skipping the shop entirely, which is a fairly big time save all on its own. I don't know, maybe. Probably not. So, I've only used, I probably count how many flame wheels I've used. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I believe 9 flame wheels to this point. And not many of them really, my special attack has really mattered on any of them, I don't think. I think everything I've done would have worked with worse special attack so far. So, on evolution here is where we will begin to reap the benefits. This huge special attack stat on Quill. Mount Battle is one of the most obnoxious segments in the any percent run. It is chock full of ground and rock types. So basically, we want Typhlosion and Blaze, and then we just Flame Wheel ground types while Espeon kills rock types, basically. It's really sketchy if you don't have great special attack on Ty. Thankfully, none of the frustrating ranges are actually ranges for me. My Ty special attack stat is so good that every obnoxious range on Mount Battle is guaranteed for me to hit. So, you saw me switch Flame Wheel to slot 1 on Typhlosion. It is slightly faster to move Flame Wheel to slot 1. It just also makes the menuing easier and is a lot more comfortable. It just makes a lot more sense. But the big thing is that it's faster. So if you're not already putting Flame Wheel in slot 1, you should start because it's faster and it's also easier. Out of the asylum. Yeah, man. Okay. So, I need to get Blaze. I do not want to leave this first Mount Battle fight without getting Blaze. The AI is random and I have no reliable way to get Blaze. I am at full health, so it takes more hits than usual to get Blaze. Basically, everything's working against me here. So I go for a turn 1 you probably won't see very often, which is I'm going to Flame Wheel Trapinch, which is guaranteed at my special attack, and I'm going to Confusion Nummel, which is a 7 and 16. If Nummel survives, which it does, it is a 1 and 3 to use Magnitude. It got confused, which was the funny part of this. It's going to hit itself in Confusion, spoilers. fucked up my potential blaze set. But it's 1 in 3D's magnitude, and then it's basically, I don't know the percentage of the mag rolls. Like, most of the time, it will deal significant damage. I think 2 of the mags will put me in blaze, and 1 of them will kill me from here. I think mag 10 kills me from there. Thanks, Roth. But yeah, basically, I don't want to enter the next fight without blaze, so I just stall here. I think Sandshrews moves are like dig, scratch, and fucking poison sting, so it's like it can't really do anything, so we just let it big chill here while I get my blaze worked out. Sandshrew just chills here while I figure my shit out. Thanks, F. But yeah, ended up with a good health setup in the end. It was just frustrating how many steps it took to get there, but yeah. I said this earlier, I believe you actually came right on time, because like up to the scrub segment was pretty fucking mid. Like, it's compared to my balance segments right now, which is basically what I would use as a proxy for like a good not great run. So I'm like 2 minutes behind like a good run. But for call nature on Quill, the mild nature costs me about 2 minutes. So like it's basically a good nature or a good run for what it is, but it's like a pretty bad run overall. I said this before. I don't know for sure. I believe this is the fastest run scrub from the end of scrub to Evis. Dakeem to Evis. I believe this would be the fastest ever Dakeem to Evis ever by several minutes. By a very, very large margin. This run, literally, I can only think of one tiny thing that goes wrong from this point on. And it was a very, very small, minor issue. And it cost me like less than 30 seconds maybe? Like something very, very small. But yeah, that Baltoy there is the reason I want Blaze for this fight. Baltoy is guaranteed if I have Blaze. If I don't, I can't kill it. And then it has like some annoying moves. The Baltoy's movesets are different. I think that one has Mud Slap and Confusion. And Cosmic Power. One of them is Dig, one of them is Mud Slap. They're stupid. I think that one has Confusion and Mud Slap. Because that's the one that's easier to get Blaze off of. Yeah, the way I play is that I always get Blaze fight 1. If I can. Like, I try my best to just get Blaze fight 1, even if it costs me an extra 30-ish or so seconds, just because it's better than not being able to kill the Baltoy. So, yeah, basically from this point on, I start doing funny things because Quill's special attack allows me to do so. You'll see this here. Flame Wheel is actually guaranteed on Geodude, and it's slightly easier for the menuing to Flame Wheel Geodude and Confusion Sandshrew, even though you would usually have flip targets. Geodude is guaranteed, and it's easier to menu this way. We talked a bit about the difference in the experience routes, but here we get Psybeam 2 fights earlier, I believe, which changes how we do some of this. 1 fight earlier, my bad. Normally we would have to 2 at this Nummel, but Psybeam is a guaranteed kill on it. I'm just gonna double check my wheel ranges to make sure I'm not crazy. Yeah, both Baltoys guaranteed, everything's guaranteed. So this is the last fight in the run that does not use some form of good AI. which is pretty like stupid and vague, but like there's so many weird exceptions to the quote-unquote good AI in this game, and there's so many different versions of the good AI in this game that I just have to be vague about it. Yeah, normally the two ball toys are ranges of the flame wheel. For me, they're both guaranteed. So this Houndour is funny. It's a 50-50 to target tie and a 50-50 to target SB. You want it to target tie because then it skips a move animation here. And also, why would you want your SB to take damage? That'd be dumb. Always lucky. It's slightly faster to miss a move than it is to do a call. It would technically be the fastest to use Psybeam on Houndour, but you don't want to risk like running out of PP. Basically, from Mount Battle onwards, there's a lot of PP management throughout the run, and it sort of just starts with this segment, where we are careful with our PP counts. Basically, once we learn Psybeam, we have to start being careful about how we use our PP. So, this fight you're 50-50 to get Leap lead and Barboach lead. Barboach lead is faster by probably 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Not a huge amount, but enough that it was annoying. I had to do this fight in a certain way where I took Sandstorm damage because I need to be in death range to Houndour later in this segment on tie. So I basically need to take sand damage. So I have to do this fight kind of slowly in order to take damage here. It ended up giving me a good health setup, so it wasn't a big deal. But it's a little slower than it could have been. You would hope that the leap comes out when Barboach came out here. That way I'd only have to watch one turn of sand animation instead of two. Because if I'm correct, I believe I only need the one turn of sand damage, not the second one, for my health setup. But yeah, there's some pretty specific health setup stuff going forward. Health management becomes a pretty big thing in the second half of this run. But yeah, I was able to save a Psybeam PP here by using a potion on SB. I need to potion SB sometime before fight 8. And Flame Wheel has a faster animation than Psybeam. So it was just sort of ended up being a okay spot for me to do it. And this is different from the old route where we equip EXP, share a couple fights earlier. Doing the menu like that is like slightly faster than manually giving it an item, because then it has all these text boxes where it's like, it's holding an item. Do you want to switch the items? That's just like a little bit faster. That was one of the more difficult things for me to incorporate. That one took me a while to get used to. It's one of the weirder menus. The Spinda is normally a frustrating range. If it lives, it uses Psybeam on tie, and that it can confuse, it can crit, it can do all this annoying shit. It's guaranteed for me though. and sometimes here, sometimes Espeon returns Kadabra. If Flame Wheel's not guaranteed on Kadabra, you would return Kadabra. My Flame Wheel is guaranteed, so it's fast for me to call. And this next fight is basically, it's pretty like whatever in the old route. It can be annoying in this route. Basically in the old route you would have Twisted Spoon for this next fight, and there's a Vibrava, which with Twisted Spoon is guaranteed, without it is a 11 and 16. And then there's a Sand Slash, which on average is like probably coin flip-ish range. Nah, probably less than that. Just like a weird range on the Sand Slash in this fight. So like with the old route, like you're guaranteed Psybeam on Vibrava, and then the only weird range is Sand Slash, which is pretty whatever because it's just like one funny range. It's not a big deal. But in this route, without Twisted Spoon on SB, it's two funny ranges, which can be really annoying. And if you miss both of them, you end up dying, which is really frustrating. But that's only if with a certain combo. That's only if you get Vibrava, and I don't remember. It was weird. It's only if you get the combo I didn't get, or no, only if you do get that combo, because then they dig on different turns and it's stupid. But yeah, the Sand Slash was guaranteed with Flame Wheel, and I just hit the 11 and 16, so it was whatever. But yeah, that fight can be really annoying, and it, arguably the most annoying fight of this segment. So this fight is, this is basically what all our health setup was for, is for this fight in particular. We want to have Blaze for the whole segment through the end, but we want to have low enough Blaze such that we are in kill range to this Houndour, but high enough Blaze such that we are not in kill range to a Duskull in this fight. The Duskull does like less than 10, pretty much always does like 7 damage usually. So we basically need to be like 10 or above, but also like 25 or below-ish on the health. So it's like a pretty weird specific health range you want to be in for this fight, because we want the Houndour to bite that slot. And if we were dead to Duskull, so this is a range on Duskull. I would pull out the spreadsheet and tell you what the range is, but I don't believe it's accurate. But yeah, basically if we were, it's 50-50 for Coughing or Duskull to lead. If we get the Coughing lead and you're dead to Duskull, Duskull would kill you here after you come out from the ground, if it survives the range, which the spreadsheet tells me is a... It's always these weird-ass numbers that get me, man. A 5 and 16. But yeah, I don't know. This fight can be weird, but you almost always have the health setup needed. And even if you don't, it's not terrible, it's just slower. It's just annoying because if you're dead to Duskull, you would like potion, and then you would be out of Houndour kill range, basically, usually. So it's just like a weird, specific health you want to be at. Anyway, the reason we carry Blaze through this whole segment is so we can actually do this fight reliably. So, I don't know the number IV at which you're guaranteed to kill these Geodudes. They both self-destruct, so you want to kill them both. Or else they just murder you. Around like 21, 22 IV, I think, on Quill you're guaranteed to kill it. I'm guaranteed to kill it, so it's all good. With my special attack, the Sand Slash is a, what is that, 3 and 8 to be O-code by Flame Wheel. So we just return it to get the guaranteed kill here. I moved on my parents' house. My setup's jank, bruh. But yeah, now that we killed the Geodude, I can get out of Blaze, don't need it anymore. So I ended up taking a weird risk here just because I didn't have any Hyper Potions. This is do as I say, not as I do. Basically, it's like, I don't know if it's exactly 1 in 3, it shouldn't be. In my experience, it's less than 1 in 3 to get a Marshtomp lead. But if I got a Marshtomp lead, this run is just dead, unless it misses Mudshot, basically. So, do as I say, not as I do, because I basically just risked my run dying here because I didn't want to use the extra super here to heal Ty to full health. Like I said, I was pretty lukewarm on this run, just because the pace was pretty whatever. So I took like a couple weird risks, and this is like the one thing that if I got the chance to do it again, I'd do it differently, because just risking death on a Marshtomp lead, just, it's not a good look. It worked out for me, I didn't get it, but yeah, this fight's AI is super weird. We take advantage of it. It's dumb. It's funny, custom Earthquake Protect AI, so it just does dumb shit and we take advantage of it. But yeah, the Metang's not guaranteed until 20 IV, maybe? I think. It's guaranteed for me, of course. So, something actually funny happened at the very end of this fight. It was something I hadn't seen in a long time. So, the Entei here, so basically Typhlosion's underground next turn. And so Entei's AI says, use your strongest move on Espeon because you can't hit Ty because it's underground. And so almost every single time it will use Fire Blast because its 3 offensive moves are Fire Blast, Shadow Rush, Stomp. No, Fire Rush, Shadow Rush, Bite doesn't have Stomp yet, I don't think. So it almost always uses Fire Blast because that's almost always the strongest move on SP. I actually got Shadow Rush, which is a little scarier because Fire Blast can at least miss. But basically, I think in order for me to get this shift, Entei had to have been Adamant, or like a very extreme plus attack nature, or very extreme minus special attack nature. Like a very strange IV or like stat spread on it to get that shift there. It was very weird. Didn't really matter. That Shadow Rush ended up doing like nothing. And then I got a funny crit. But yeah, I like a just under a 25-minute mount battle, which is like just sort of good, not great. But yeah, it saved some big time on my balance, or on my PB, I should say. And now I am 40 seconds behind PB, and PB lost, I want to say, about 2 minutes to dumb stuff from here going forward. So I have a pretty big chance to just sort of make that time up as long as I don't get completely and utterly destroyed. Will I do it? Who knows? Yeah. What is it about my health? I don't remember. So whatever. We get to do some cutscene watching. Some NPCs are just gonna give me the runaround for no reason because they're mean and toxic. So there was some funny stuff that happened in this segment. Yeah, basically, other than one thing that cost me less than 30 seconds, this run is going to be perfect from here. So, you guys are all in for a treat. The second half of this run was absolutely crazy. Just incredible stuff. Some funny stuff happened in this next segment. The Venus 1 fight is a strange fight in this route. Basically because she has 4 non-Shadow Suicune pokes. 1 Oko's Typhlosion, 1 Oko's SB, and the other 2 can't Oko anything, so they spam Attract. And one of them's a Vileplume, which also spams Stun Spore after landing Attract. So we basically need to give specific pokes turns in specific ways such that we are able to set up, not die, and not suffer the effects of Attract. And it makes Venus 1 a really awkward fight if you want to do it quickly. There's some safety strats that make it a bit more reliable, but the faster versions of the Venus fight are like significantly riskier, but they are so much faster that it's just not even really there's not really any question that it's worth it or not. It's just so much faster to do a riskier Venus fight. On average, the riskier Venus basically is mostly just dependent on an extra Fire Blast hit. Some branches where you're relying on some extra luck on top of that, but for the most part, it's an extra Fire Blast hit compared to the standard. But yeah, it's a weird fight, and I actually did it in a really weird way. I can guarantee that you have never seen the Venus fight that I'm going to do because I have never seen it. It's just a Venus fight that's never been done before. It was really weird. Yeah, I should have noted it while it was happening, but basically anytime you can use a key item, you can interact with the thing that you use the key item on, and it brings up a text box prompt and then opens your menu in the key item pocket. In almost every case, it is slightly faster to manually open your bag in front of it. In almost every case. Not every case. In almost every case. So the vast majority of the time I use a key item, you will see me manually pull up the bag and pick my item that way because it will skip a text box. That's the reason I do my menus like that. It maybe looks a little strange, but it's slightly faster whenever I can do it properly. I think I did one kind of slowly in this run, which is weird, and there was like 1 or 2 that I just don't do all together because I'm not sure if it's faster, and they're a little awkward. But You'll see me do it in a couple spots. I'll point it out when it happens again. So basically, in the old any percent route, there's 4 shop visits. There's the X item shop, the ball shop, the agate shop, and then the under shop. I skipped the agate shop, which basically means, like, normally in the agate shop we buy a vitamin, which is 9,800 Poké Dollars. I just didn't buy that. I fucked this up and talked a bit. There's like some weird dumb shit. I made some like dumb stuff like that where I just like a couple like movement errors that cost me like half a second to fucking talk to that guy. I think that was the only like talking error I made in the run, but like I fucked up some weird menus just because I was a little rusty and it was really frustrating to like fuck up simple shit like that, but it's whatever. I don't even remember what I was talking about, man. Oh yeah, it's the vitamin shop. Yeah, basically I have about 10,000. No, I have like 100 that. Why am I like this? I have like 10,000 more Poké Dollars than I'm supposed to have, and I forgot that. So I should have done this shop slightly differently. Basically, it would have been fastest for me to buy 11 hypers, but I forgot that I could. So I ended up buying 8, which is what I would normally buy. But I just like, I should have bought 11. It would have been faster to buy 11 than it was to buy 8. And I fucked this up, which is stupid. Like, man. More applicable to real life, dang. Like, I fucked up some really dumb menus in this run for, like, no reason. It was so annoying. Like, such stupid mistakes. Like, the stuff like that is, like, I like, pride myself on not doing that shit. And this run, unfortunately, has, like, a lot of that shit in it. I only need, like, 6 hyper potions, so it didn't really matter that I only bought 8. It just would have been slightly faster to buy 11. And a little move teaching. So, funny story. Old route wants you to teach hidden power slot 4 protects slot 3. That's stupid as fuck, and it's way better to have protect slot 4 if you have a brain in your head. So if you're putting hidden power slot 4 and protect slot 3, stop it. You're stupid. Don't do that. Protect slot 4 on both pokes literally makes way more sense and is also faster. It's faster and it's easier. There's literally no repercussion to it. It is only a win-win, and so many people refuse to do it. It's tragic. Anyway, now Typhlosion has a cool move. It does 1,000,000 damage, but it doesn't hit very often. That's why we have a moves missed counter. Okay, so... Ooh, where do I start? I feel like this Venus fight was so fucked. It's so funny, but like it was something. So Venus has 3 possible leads. Delcatty is always a lead. It always comes out first, and it's either accompanied by Steelix, Vileplume, or Bayonet. Steelix is the slowest and safest. Bayonet is like the mid, and Vileplume is the fastest and riskiest. So this Delcatty is a 5 and 16 to die to Psybeam here. If it survives, the fight is safe. If it dies, the fight is faster but riskier. Espeon thought it'd be a funny joke, but just crit the Delcatty and took the range out of the question. So basically, I'm scrambling in my head. I have a subset of notes for this that I didn't follow, because my subset of notes basically does this fight as safely as possible, and I wanted to do this fight as quickly as possible. So I decided I was just gonna hit through protect, or hit through retracts. And it fucking worked, go fucking figure. So, this fight ended up being the fastest possible Venus fight, even though I didn't really deserve it. Normally I wouldn't do the fight like this, but I was pushed into a weird spot. Hey, 1 for 1. Funny enough, it's always impossible to kill Steelix with a flame wheel. That Steelix is, like, the pokes in this fight are so high level that it's fucking, like, impossible to kill them. It's so stupid. We have to fucking +2 just to kill this bayonet. So basically the intended version of this fight lets Vileplume use Stun Spore instead of letting Suicune use Surf here. This ended up being a little bit faster. It was just riskier because it gambled on an attract hit, and then Surf is kind of slow and dumb. +2 hidden power is a range on Suicune depending on Shadow Suicune's stats. And generally, you don't really come that close to killing it. It usually lives at about 10%. I ended up tying my PB about. I don't think I really saved time here. Because the fight was faster, but the menus before were slower. But yeah, literally perfect Venus fight. And I just like had a couple like weird menuing mistakes previously in this segment. But yeah, really good Venus. And I ended with a 201 Venus, which I was actually really happy with to see a 201 there. Because that basically put me on, like, actually good pace. Anything under 201 is really good. I don't even think a sub 2 has been done yet with Quill. It might have been done, but I haven't seen it. So sub 201 is really good, and 201.48 is like, puts me very much on record pace. Right now I'm on about like a mid 326 pace. Okay. So Shadow Pokemon have random stats, and Typhlosion has really good special attack. So I can take some funny creative liberties here. So I did. This Gligar, with average special defense and HP, is a 1 in 16 to die to Fire Blast here. So I decided to go for it. The reason being is that even if I miss the range, Gligar has a chance of using Shadow Rush here, which would it would just die of the recoil after. It actually outsped me, which is a speed range. It's about a coin flip whether or not I outsped. But I used Sand Attack instead of Shadow Rush, which was frustrating because if I miss, it'll cost me some time. Otherwise, it's not a huge deal. And this was... it ended up living. This was the one other thing in the run I wish I did differently. I wish I split my targets, because I was going to use Shadow Rush after using Sand Attack, so I should have hedged my bets by wheeling the Gligar slot, because it would have guaranteed killing something this turn. Like, realistically, this wasn't a bad thing that I did. I'm 75% to hit Teddiursa with Psybeam, and then I am 1 in 16 to kill it with Flame Wheel. So realistically, I was overwhelmingly likely to just kill Teddiursa. Like, massively overwhelmingly favored to kill it there. And I just got owned. So, we are adding 1 to our moves missed counter. That's the first one. And it shockingly came from Espeon, not Typhlosion. But yeah, I talked about one small thing going wrong from this point forward. That was it. I do not know of a single other thing not going, like, basically perfectly from this point on. So now, buckle up and watch the fastest this game has ever been played. Okay, so this Curlia. This Curlia is funny because it's a range to Flame Wheel and also a range to return. I don't have the range for Curlia because the sheet has Curlia after I level up. I believe it's a 7 and 8 to kill Curlia with Flame Wheel here. It might be a 15 and 16. I believe it's a 7 and 8. And I didn't hit it, but it's not really a big deal. Basically, the difference between hitting it and missing it is giving Curlia a turn versus giving Shadow Stantler a turn. So missing that range isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you hit it, you can go for a Fire Blast range on Stantler, basically. It's the only difference is that it allows you to like take a risk. Otherwise, it doesn't really lose time at all to miss that range. So it's a weird one to miss, and it was one I was extremely favored to hit, but it ended up not like costing me any time at all, so it was whatever. But I did my moves in a weird way here. Is basically I just did the fastest move animations possible. So that's why the moves were just done that way. Yeah, I ended up underspeeding the Gligar and outspeeding the Stantler, which is a little weird. They're very similar speed ranges. I want to say they have the same base speed, 85. It's just that you're one level higher for the Stantler. Okay, this next fight, depending on the lead, can be done in a variety of ways. I had some interesting potential for weird stuff I could do. There's a Masquerain, which is normally we would Fire Blast, but I am a 11 and 16 to kill it with Flame Wheel. And then there's a Dunsparce, which normally I can't kill with Fire Blast, but with this I'm guaranteed to kill with Fire Blast. And then there's the Octillery, which I am 13 and 16 to KO with Hidden Power. This is basically the reason we don't run a lower Hidden Power base power than 69 or 70. 69 I believe is 11 and 16, and then the 70 is a 13 16. I did buy the Pokemon DLC, yes. And that's 2 for 2, no, 3 for 3 on hit Fire Blast. I could risk wheeling the Piloswine, technically. It just doesn't really make sense to. It's like a weird range to die based on its stats. Not worth going for. It's like barely possible to kill with Flame Wheel. That's 4 for 4. Yeah, this Dunsparce is kind of annoying because it can use Glare. I don't know. I assume it's 50-50 to use Glare. I don't know for sure. I use Flame Wheel because it's faster animation than Psybeam here. And I don't think return's not guaranteed to kill Dunsparce after the Intimidate, so we just go for Flame Wheel. And we want SB at full health for the next fight anyway, so it's fine. This Quill's weird. I'll just show its stats again. It basically has God special attack and like nothing else. So like, it's not really good, but it just happened to have God special attack, which allowed me to do certain things certain ways, and ended up working to my advantage in the long run. So yeah, the reason we want to kill SB is so we don't want to be in kill range of the Sneasel, or else it'll just kill us. But after that level up on SB, it's actually shifted over to Tai now, because Tai has terrible defense. So it's just an AI shift where it does more damage to Tai than it does to SB, which it normally doesn't. AI shift basically is just Colo terminology for it attacks the thing we don't normally expect it to attack because of our stats. So the AI was shifted to Typhlosion there because Typhlosion has lower defense than Espeon in my run, but the vast majority of the time does not. So that was 5 for 5 on Fire Blast hits, and this is 6 for 6. And this was like a pretty good down climb. I think really good's about like a 930. 10 is around an average, so it's like an average down climb. I didn't miss any blasts, but I had like an awkward Gligar fight, so it was weird. But yeah, it was like a totally legitimately good segment. Nothing wrong with it. So I guess I can try to just take my time now to sort of explain what this route does differently than the previous route. So the timeline is basically that 2 years ago, Ixarian decided that he was going to redo the experience route in Colosseum. In Pokemon Colosseum, I'm not sure if it's every single one. I believe almost every Cypher Peon, like almost every Cypher Peon you don't have to beat to like clear their like trainer or whatever. So basically, like, I don't know if it's every single Cypher Peon. It's at least almost all of them. If you lose to them, they'll disappear and you won't have to refight them. And they're the only trainer class that does this. Other than, I think, a couple exceptions, but basically, there's a large number of trainers in this game that we don't have to beat in order to get past. And Ixarian decided he was going to take advantage of that and do an EXP reroute where we skip a number of trainers in one segment. And basically, we do the other fights differently to give us enough EXP such that the lost EXP doesn't become an issue for the rest of the run. And so there was stuff done earlier in the run on Firma where Espeon got more experience than it normally would. And then there was, on Mount Battle, we equipped the EXP share 2 fights earlier than the old route does. And what that does is it gives Espeon all the important level ups it needs to be able to skip 5 trainers in the Shadow Pokemon Lab. So the EXP reroute is get Espeon extra EXP early to hit all of its level ups, and then skip 5 trainers. And what this basically ends up doing is essentially, not exactly, but essentially, each poke will end up missing 1 level for the end game. Roughly. Not exact. And Basically, what that means is we have to do certain things a little bit differently depending on our stats. It makes the stat requirement on Quill a little bit tighter, because we want to have enough special attack to handle being one level lower. You might have to worry about the stat restrictions on Espeon in case you're worried about certain things going wrong at a level lower. It makes a handful of fights riskier, it adds a handful of ranges, but overall saves around 90 seconds to 2 minutes compared to the older route. So it's marginally riskier and massively faster to skip these 5 trainers and do a different experience route. I was kind of skeptical about how much time it saves, but there's a lot of things outside of just the trainer skipping that it saves, because it allows us to skip certain things, like we skip the ether and the hypers in Pyrite Cave. We can do stuff like that. We do certain fights slightly differently that are more advantageous. So it saves about 90 seconds, usually more than 90 seconds, if done correctly. There's certain things that can go wrong that will cost you that. I'm going to check the exact range on the Voltorb. I believe it's a 7 and 8 with Flame Wheel. No, 15, 16. So normally we'd Fire Blast the Voltorb. If I Flame Wheel it, my Flame Wheel is more likely to kill than Fire Blast is to hit. So we go for Flame Wheel because it's 1 in 16 to not kill, and Fire Blast is 15% to not kill. And so that is the important level up we want to hit. We want to hit level 44 here. That's hugely important, and you will see why soon. Until then, you're going to see the fruits of Ixarian's labor, I suppose. Yeah, so basically he was the one that sort of... He sort of routed this all on his own based on other people's discoveries. Basically what's done is this level 13 Plusle that we were given for no fucking reason dies to everything in one hit. So what we do is we deposit everything other than Plusle. We attempt to save at a PC without a memory card in the console. What that does is it sets our save warp to that PC, but it does not save the game, which is faster than actually saving the game. So it sets our save point, we skip actually saving, and now we lose a fight with Plusle, and it will clear this trainer and send us back to the PC. This adds a lot of movement, and we have to start every fight and see all these animations, so like, if you didn't know better, you might not think that this is like significantly faster to do it this way, but the amount of time it takes to KO things in this game with all the animations and stuff makes losing these fights significantly faster than just doing them normally. Because this fight on its own is like a 3-turn fight, and we have to use an X item, and it's all this nonsense. We have to see like 2 move animations from Apom. It's like a whole ordeal. Yeah, I fucked up a lot of menus in this run. It's really dumb of me, because I'm normally really good at this stuff, and I just really butchered a handful of them in this run. But yeah, the reason we want 44 is because we have 3 candies, and Espeon learns a cool move at level 47. But yeah, we put Espeon in slot 1 here because it makes candying easier here. We don't have to like fucking put Espeon in slot 2 and then like move down to use the candies. So that's also a difference from the old route. Old route teaches Psychic over Psybeam and uses Return as PP management. This route keeps Psybeam and uses Psybeam as PP management. I much prefer the PP management in this version, or in this route, just because it skips the ethers, so like, it already makes more sense, and then we're just able to completely skip grabbing an item that takes like 20 seconds to go out of your way to get. So there's like a bunch of random sample combinations, but it's because we grabbed 2 of 3, and then we just guessed the third one. Basically, the shuffling of their positions is such that we can always easily get 2. And then the third one's in like a out of the way location. So something about this is that I used to struggle with having Psychic on slot 2 a little bit, but the XD 80% actually has Psychic on slot 2, and that actually helped me get used to this a lot, because I was running XD a lot before I like was on my more recent Colo grind, and it's like having Psychic and slot 2 in both games is really beneficial for muscle memory. Just having your stuff in the same slot is huge. That's why I like to have Protect slot 4 both pokes. Like, it just makes everything so much easier. And that way, if you're using Protect, you don't have to think about it. You're just bottom right every single time. It's just so much easier. This is a free gamer tip for all the kids at home. When you exit the staircase, hold up left. You can do that at home. It's pretty easy. Make sure your controller has notches. I'm not responsible for anyone who hits that optional because they're using a controller without notches. But yeah, this is like the slowest part of this, is like just the leaving and coming back. Like, this part's annoying. It makes it feel like it's not worth it, because this fucking walking segment takes so fucking long, but trust me, it's way faster to do this. It feels so slow. I hate it, but it's all worth it. And now we just let Plusle cook. So, funny enough, depending on these combos, you actually get faster move animations for certain things. That specific combo, Houndour Carvana, is like, I think the slowest technically, because any other combo would have Nuzleaf attacking, which is slightly faster than Houndour's attack animation. That one's not really relevant, but the next fight has a more like noticeable one where I believe it's 50-50 for Shadow Fortress to lead in this fight, and you basically don't want to see it because it's it has to play it's a Shadow Pokemon animation. But it's actually okay to see because it has one of the fastest move animations. So if it's paired with like Pupitar or even like Swablu, and then you get like the Shadow Rush animation from it, that's like the fastest move animation possible in this fight. Zubat actually outspeeds it though, so we just get Poison Fanged. There's also some funny stuff where moves can miss. The Swablu uses Takedown, which can miss. The Zubat uses Poison Fang, which can miss. The Pupitar uses Dig, which doesn't even hit you until the second turn. Like, just some silly small stuff can go wrong with this, but like nothing really significant. Like, if you get Pupitar and then a move that misses, you have to watch like Plusle's growl animation and shit, and it's so stupid. Okay, so I actually forgot to grab this sample. on my way here last time. Lab skip runs through this segment a number of times, so even if I forget it, I can just pick it up on one of my other trips through here. God bless. Nice elevator. This fight is guaranteed to lead, or it always leads the same too, so it doesn't matter that we watch the shadow animation. So this fight's a funny one, where the lead Pokemon has Intimidate, and it actually saves a lot of time to only have one Pokemon on the field when the Intimidate animation goes. Because the stat lowering animation is slow as heck. So this fight's lead is random, where it can be either a Linoone or a Vigoroth. The Vigoroth can sometimes use Aerial Ace, can sometimes use Fury Swipes. I think it's depending on Plusle's stats. If it can kill with Aerial Ace, it uses Aerial Ace, but even if it can't kill with Aerial Ace, it's unfavored to kill with Aerial Ace. So if it uses Aerial Ace, you're most likely to live. If it uses Fury Swipes, it can miss. If it uses Aerial Ace, you can survive. It's like this whole ordeal. So you just hope for the Linoone lead, because Linoone's guaranteed to kill you. And then I put the pokes back in my party in a specific order, such that Typhlosion ends up back in slot 1. And Makuhita ends up in slot 3. And we don't need Umbreon, so we leave him in there. So yeah, the two samples we got were Quilava and, was it? I didn't want to say it in case I got it wrong. Quilava and Croconaw. So, of course, the third one is obviously Bayleaf, right, guys? Come on, that's how it works. Come on, guys, that's how it works. So, these next three fights, I guess, are a little awkward, because my two pokes are at full health, and I want Typhlosion in Blaze. There's a number of ways I can get myself into Blaze. Some are safer than others, some depend on RNG, and some are just like weird. I don't know. Like, basically, you, depending on your stats, you can sometimes put yourself in blaze during this fight here. If you outspeed certain things later. This Ampharos is a 1 in 16 with Psychic, not even close. But yeah, basically I need blaze in the next 3 fights, and I don't have a super reliable way to get it. The next fight is random combos, and certain things in the next fight can damage Tai and put it closer to blaze, basically. So I'm just going to go through them real quick. The next fight has a Vibrava, Kadabra, Swellow, and Kecleon. It depends on your stats. You actually can usually safely Psychic Tai. If you have above average special defense, you can safely do it. We have a Psybeam Calc too. That's like a really... Basically, you either want really bad or really good special defense, so you can safely either Psychic, or with really bad, you can safely Psybeam. But also, because we're not in Blaze here, we actually almost always take damage during this fight, which can complicate it. So, Swellow uses Fly, it is going to attack Typhlosion always. Kecleon either uses Strength or Dig, always targets Typhlosion. Kadabra uses Psybeam 50% of the time, always targets Tai when it attacks. Vibrava knows Dragon Breath and Shadow Rush, usually attacks Espeon with Shadow Rush, can shift to Shadow Rush on Typhlosion. Typhlosion's defense is really, really low, so it's shifted to Typhlosion. So Vibrava's going to help me with my Blaze setup. I did this fight kind of weird, basically. After seeing the first Shadow Rush on Tai, I saw that a 3-hit puts me at a good Blaze health. So I decided I was going to do this fight in a way that just lets the Vibrava put me in Blaze. If I could have done this fight with high health, and then just Psybeamed myself into Blaze, it would have been slightly faster, but this ended up working out pretty well for me. You need to waste a turn getting Blaze somewhere here, and this just ended up being a decent way to do it. I just waste this turn and have Vibrava hit me instead of wasting a turn later and doing it with SB. This probably cost me about 10-15 seconds over like a normal Blaze setup, but like honestly it was pretty whatever, because your Blaze setup can be really awkward depending on your stats. Like if you outspeed the Kadabra, then you like generally don't take any damage in this fight on Tai, but you usually don't. So you usually take some damage, and then it becomes a matter of like how you put yourself in Blaze after taking that damage, like whether you can safely Psybeam yourself into Blaze from there, whether you have to heal the full and then Psychic into Blaze, whether you have to heal the full and Psybeam into Blaze, whether you can Hidden Power yourself into Blaze, like a lot of things. So obviously this is going to be Croc, Bayleaf, Quill, but my dumbass didn't want to pick those two, or those three, because they're not that close to each other. Eventually I caved in and got it right. So there's a Wobbuffet in this fight. Normally you can't safely Fire Blast it in Blaze, so we use an X-Spec. I can safely Fire Blast it in Blaze. I'm guaranteed to kill it, so I can skip an X-Spec here. That's why I wanted to have Blaze before this fight, so that I could just auto-kill it. In this route, normally we would Fire Blast that Kadabra. I used Flame Wheel on it for a specific reason too, because it'll save me time later. If I manage my Fire Blast PP on Typhlosion, I can use a bonus Fire Blast somewhere, which will save me about 30 seconds. 30? Probably more like 20, but it saved me a significant chunk of time if I can manage my Fire Blast PP in a certain way. That is 6 of 6 hit. No, it's 7 of 7 hit. I'm wrong. That's 7 of 7. That's 8 of 8. So basically, there's two versions of the Iron Fight. One where Typhlosion outspeeds his Golbat, one where you don't. If you do outspeed it, you Fire Blast it. If you don't, the fight is a little bit slower, but a little bit safer. It's not really significant, because there's even some combos where you outspeed Golbat and you still can't Fire Blast it, so on average, they're pretty similar, so it's not a big deal. Generally, this fight is mostly dependent on whether or not you are dead to an Altaria Fly or an Altaria Double Pursuit. If you're dead to a Double Pursuit from Altaria, it'll Pursuit tie. If you're dead to a Fly, it'll Fly. If Altaria is out on the field early, you want to be dead to Fly. If Altaria is on the field late, you want to be dead to Double Pursuit. I'm dead to Double Pursuit, so I'm lucky that it didn't show up early. If I were dead to Fly, I would have wanted to see Altaria on the field early. So this combo would have been slow if I was dead to Fly, but it is fast because I am dead to Double Pursuit. So it ended up being an okay Iron Fight. Basically, the only slow part is that I take a Surf here. Normally you'd watch like an Altaria animation instead of a Surf animation, which is faster. So now we get Typhlosion and Raikou on the field at the ending. And if I were not dead to Double Pursuit, Altaria would fly, and then I'd have to wait a turn for it to come back down before I can kill it with SP. Typhlosion is dead to Double Pursuit, so it will Pursuit tie, and I will not have to wait a turn for it to come back down. Funny quirk about this Raikou is it knows Quick Attack, so if your health is too low, it'll fucking kill you with Quick Attack, which is funny. Also, Espeon crit like 3 things in this fight for no reason, man. So yeah, basically normally you'd want to see, the only animation you'd want to see from an enemy is Fly from Altaria. I ended up getting a half Surf and a Pursuit, so I lost like 20-ish seconds over like an average Iron, just based on stats and combo. Pretty whatever. Like still really close to my best ever segment, so it was like still really good. Overall, I probably lost like a minute over like a really good overall segment, including down climb. I lost like 30-ish on down climb and then like 30-ish on the actual lab itself. But yeah, now I am ahead of record I'm ahead of the world record by 16 seconds, and I have better stats than the world record, and world record had 2 bad segments from this point on. It had a slow Gonzap because I got the bad Gonzap combo, and I had a slow Evis because I got a slow Evis combo, and I had like a mid Nascore segment. But what you are about to watch is, I believe, I would be shocked if this is wrong, you are going to watch what I believe is the fastest round 2 segment ever. I would be very surprised if this were not the case. And if it were not the case, it is because I did an optional menu before the segment ended instead of after the segment ended. But I believe it's still the case even with the optional menu. So normally, what we do in this route is we switch Makuhita to slot 1, and it makes Mirror B1 or Mirror B2 safer because it lets us set up SB and then Makuhita gets sacked, and then we send out Tai, and then we're set up for the fight. The reason we normally do that is because Typhlosion can usually only reliably kill 1 or 2 things in the Mirror B2 fight, so we want to have Espeon set up as soon as possible. So Mirror B has 2 Ludicolo's, a level 44 and a level 45. I am guaranteed to OHKO both of them. So because of that, I do not need to sacrifice Makuhita, which saves me probably 30 seconds. Yeah, this route is like routed, so when I was routing it, I basically routed the Quilava stat requirement to be such that we can safely kill the 44 Ludicolo. I ended up lowering the stat requirement after finding a version of the fight we can do that doesn't require us to kill the Ludicolo with Typhlosion. So basically, most of the experience routing in this route is based on how we can kill the Ludicolo here. And I ended up getting this lead, which is very beneficial. We really wanted to see the 45 lead here. The 45 Ludicolo lead is important because the Ludicolos will use their strongest move to knock out Typhlosion here. I use Flame Wheel instead of Psychic on Loudred just because I can. I think Psychic is slightly faster, but it ended up being faster because this way I can X-Spec SB on its own without having to use Tai to X-Spec it, so it's slightly faster to do it this way. What that means is that the 44 Ludicolo will use Waterfall, and the 45 will use Dive. So the 45 gives us a free setup turn, and the 44 makes life difficult for us. So we got the perfect lead, and it's all working out. Normally we would Fire Blast the Loudred, but my special attack allows me to Flame Wheel it, guaranteed kill. And then my Fire Blast allows me to guaranteed kill the 45. Normally we'd have to risk using Fire Blast on the 44, and then if we miss or it survives, it would just kill us with Waterfall. If for some reason I missed this Fire Blast here on the 45, it would use Dive again, and I would not die, even though it would cost me a lot of time. I would still survive. I've been losing count, man. That's 8 of 8. That's 9 of 9, right? So it's 6 of 6. Then 7, 8. That's 9 of 9. You've hit 9 of 9 Fire Blasts. I actually paused there because I wasn't sure if I had enough Psychics, but I ended up having just enough. The PV management here is such that we should always finish this fight with 0 Psychics. Normally we'd finish this fight with 0 Fire Blasts, but if you're paying attention, I actually have 2 Fire Blasts. So normally we would Elixir both pokes here to refresh our Fire Blasts and our Psychics. Typhlosion doesn't need a refresher, so we are only going to Elixir Espeon here and save that Elixir on Tai for later. So this fight is sort of infamous for killing good pace runs. Basically, there's a 1 in 6 that he leads a specific combo, namely Claydol Flay. Fuck, I'm so stupid. I just call it Claygon, so I fucking can't fucking call it the Claydol and Flygon. If he leads Claygon, what's the range? I'll find it. If he leads Claygon, you are 3 in 16 to do the fight normally, and otherwise you just die. So, if you get a 1 in 6 lead, you are only 3 in 16 to be able to finish the fight. So this fight's sort of notorious for being a run killer a little bit. It's pretty uncommon, but if you get the 1 in 6 lead, you're almost certainly fucked. But yeah, anything other than that lead's actually totally safe and actually like comically fine, because that fucking fortress always protects the first turrets on the field. Because Dakeem has stupid earthquake AI, so the fucking fortress always protects and gives us a free setup turn. Thank you for your service, fortress. So, something about the PP management I should mention is this you'll notice that the psychic PP management ends up working out really well, such that I will use an elixir on Espeon when I have 0 psychic PP twice. So it ends up being like looking really specific and looking like it works out perfectly, but there are a number of things that I could Psybeam instead of using Psychic on, that I just don't. And that's because we just have the PP to use the Psychics, and Psychic's animation's faster than Psybeam's animation. So whenever we can, we are going to be using Psychic over Psybeam. There's a lot of stuff we can Psybeam that we're just going to choose not to. And it'll end up making the Psychic count work perfectly in multiple spots. So we're gonna go over the Fire Blast PP a little bit. Basically, I was supposed to use one on Kadabra that I didn't use in order to get Blaze, so that was 1 saved. I used a Flame Wheel on Loudred instead of a Fire Blast, which is 2 saved. So right now I have 2 more Fire Blasts than I'm supposed to have. And we're gonna make use of that. Not quite yet, but you know, there's nothing going on. What the fuck else am I supposed to talk about? Funny thing about this Delibird is that there's a very small chance that Shadow Delibird can outspeed slow Typhlosions. So, tech tip, if you're ever in a jam and you're worried that your Ty gets outsped by the Delibird, you can just like Psybeam it instead and Flame Wheel the Pylo. It's extremely rare, but it is like technically possible sometimes, sort of. It's really dumb. There's a lot of like silly possible shadow stuff. Did that happen to you? I've never seen it. I didn't know it was possible until recently. Damn, what the hell? Yeah, I only noticed it like a month or 2 ago that it was like even a possibility. I didn't mention earlier that like these are finished movesets, but that was pretty obvious that they were finished movesets when we had them. I guess it's not even for Quill, so I'm just full of shit. Yeah, obviously Espeon's moveset's done. Has been for a while. So yeah, like the PP management thing, you know, we use Hidden Power on the Piloswine instead of Psychic. We're gonna use Psybeam on the Gloom, like small stuff like that. Just to make sure our Psychic count works. So Venus 2 is a funny one. Depending on, like, on average, you have to hit 2 Fire Blasts. With my stats, I can exchange 1 Fire Blast for a Flame Wheel, saving a 3rd Fire Blast. And depending on the lead, sometimes you have to go for a 3 and 4 range on Wigglytuff. That is only if Typhlosion is not dead to Wigglytuff and also the other poke on the field. And the other Pokemon on the field has to be Blossom. So basically, if you get a Blossom Wigglytuff lead and Typhlosion isn't dead to both of those pokes, you have to go for a 3 and 4 range on Wigglytuff. Thankfully, I don't have any of those issues. Even if I had got that lead, I would be dead to both those pokes and could safely set up. So, it's all good for me. But yeah, Flame Wheel on Blossom saves me a 3rd Fire Blast. So now I currently have 2 where I am supposed to have run out and elixired back to 5. Basically, right now, I should have 4 Fire Blasts. And instead I have 1. So I have 3 more Fire Blasts than I should. It's just sort of the benefits of the great special attack. Hello, Wiggly. Wiggly, of course, is guaranteed to die to Fire Blast. So a funny thing about the Suicune was that it died to a +2 hidden power when we first fought it, which means it has below average special defense. So we actually go for a range on the Suicune here, and if we miss it, Typhlosion dies. Thankfully it showed that it had bad special defense earlier in the run, so we are actually guaranteed to kill it here, which is good. That is 10 of 10 Fire Blasts hit. And this is a guaranteed, but usually not guaranteed, or sometimes not guaranteed. That's a really frustrating one to miss because we just barely miss out on level 51 for the range, which makes it a little more sketchier than it is in the old route. Normally we'd be 1 level higher for that. Yet another risk of the EXP route. We just barely miss level ups in certain spots. So I could have just gone like for the best possible round 2 segment, but it's slightly faster if I insert the ID cards before and not after. Because if I do it after, then I have to walk across the room and back. If I do it here, I don't have to do that, and I just walk across the room once. So I currently have 1 Fire Blast. Normally I would have 3. This fight's pretty basic. Rhydon's strongest move on Typhlosion is Dig, so it just defaults to Dig and gives us free setup. And here's some extra PP management, or we can Psybeam some stuff. So technically, I should have Psybeam or like Psychicked one thing in this fight, I think maybe? No, wait, I'm getting it wrong. Never mind. I think I did it right. Yeah, Rhydon just gives us free setup. We good. So, normally, we can actually use Blaze Fire Blast on Raikou in Ein 1 and Ein 2. It's more, I think it's like pretty much always guaranteed Ein 2, and it's like really favorable Ein 1. You'll not see it very often in the old route, and you generally won't see it at all in this route. In this run, I just so happened to have saved 3 Fire Blasts. A big reason why we don't want to use Fire Blast on the Raikou, of course, is pressure. We'll burn our PP. But I only have 1, so I don't actually lose an extra. I don't have an extra Fire Blast to lose. So, I'm free to Fire Blast this thing and save me like 20-ish seconds. Crit did not matter. I think technically barely it would have sort of been technically barely faster if I like elixired Typhlosion here, but like whatever. Yeah, I did not end up using my last Psychic here. Good. That's what I thought. And that beats my best round 2 time ever by a significant margin. If anyone has gotten an 1840, I would like to see it. And I would like to know if they inserted the ID cards. So basically we're supposed to do a double elixir at Mirror B2, but now we have 0 Fire Blast and 0 Psychics. So normally we would elixir SB, but now we can just elixir both our pokes. And I think I healed Espeon to full, even though I didn't need to, because I was going to end up needing to later anyway, so I think I just did it in this menu. Like I said, I think I mentioned earlier that like I bought more hypers than I need. So yeah, I can just burn a hyper there, it doesn't matter. I have like way more than I need. If you don't like die anywhere, you have like so many extra hypers. If your run's like deathless, you only use like 4 or 5 hypers, and you buy like 7 or 8. So I'm gonna ignore this fight and talk about the next fight, which is Cloust. The Cloust fight's really weird, and the fight is really weird, like fake out and it has weird fake out and explosion AI. Basically, it leads a Nuzleaf with explosion and a Graveler with self-destruct, and the fight can go 3 ways depending on Espeon's health for the fight. Espeon's HP and defense. If Espeon dies to neither of those moves, we get what's called Case 1, which is the fastest. If Espeon is dead to Nuzleaf Explosion but not Graveler Self-Destruct, it is called Case 2, and it is the worst of the 3 because there is a double protect used by the AI, and if it goes through, you lose about 20 plus seconds. If it doesn't go through, you only lose like 5 seconds. And then there's Case 3, which is you're dead to both of those 2 moves, which is slower than Case 1, but faster than Case 2. And then there's 2 circumstances that bypass this entirely. One is if Quilava is not dead to Graveler's Rock Throw, in which case the AI will act completely differently. I don't know the specifics. This entire fight is dependent on the fact that Typhlosion just dies to Graveler's move, so if Typhlosion isn't in Blaze for whatever reason, this fight can just go wrong. The other thing that can change how this fight goes is whether or not Nuzleaf and Graveler's moves do more damage to Typhlosion than they do to Espeon. My health and defense setup on Espeon gives me Case 2 Celeste, which is the worst. But my Quilava's defense stat is so low that Graveler and Nuzleaf are shifted to Quilava, or to Typhlosion, and that causes Case 1. So even though my Espeon's defense stats give me Case 2, which is the worst, my Quilava's terrible defense and its minus defense nature gives me the fastest possible fight instead. But yeah, this fight is like really dumb AI here, where like it forces fake out on stuff that has fake out, and then like the fake outs attack the thing that it does more damage to. So like Lombre attacks. Lombre is like forced into fake out here and it attacks SB because it fake out does more to SB than it does to Tai. It's like really dumb or some, I don't know, it's weird. This fight's stupid. It's a complicated fight with like a basic solution. All that rambling was shorthand way of me saying Quilava's bad defense benefited me and saved me up to 20 seconds. So you'll actually notice PB lost, what is that, 25 seconds to my best? And that is because I think it's a 1 in 6 that you get a bad Gonzap combo that just costs you like 30 seconds. It's really stupid and dumb and stupid. And I got that in the previous world record. Just don't get the bad combo, forehead. Basically, Gonzap has he has 4 non-shadow pokes, 2 of which die to Espeon's moves, and 2 of which die to Typhlosion's moves. So you basically want the lead to be a poke that dies to Tai and a poke that dies to SB. And if you get a lead, which is 2 pokes that die to SB and none that die to Tai, you just get fucking owned. And you lose like 20 to 30 seconds. Because then you have to like protect turn 1, and then you have to protect again later because fucking stupid Espeon can't OHKO a Skarmory. It's really dumb. So I'm just going to mention this now because this fight's pretty uneventful. We're going to be taking advantage of the opposing good AI over the endgame here. Basically, we're going to put a weak Pokemon that takes more damage than Espeon on the field next to Espeon, and then the opponents will just beat up on that weaker Pokemon. In this case, it's going to be Makuhita. We're going to have Makuhita on the field next to SB, and then the AI will just kill the Makuhita and give SB time to set up. Initially, it was done with Plusle a really long time ago. Then it was done with Meditite. It's actually most reliable and fastest to do with Makuhita. Another benefit of catching it. There is a certain scenario that could come up where if Meditite, basically there's like a coin flip-ish chance that Meditite would not get AI shifted by a certain poke. If Espeon's defense IV is 11, then it is guaranteed to shift over to Makuhita, which makes Makuhita safer for that, because it guarantees a shift from everything. Whereas Meditite is dependent on Espeon's defense and also on Meditite's defense. Yeah, we just OHKO everything here. Like, the reason we carry Blaze through this whole segment is, like, literally for this fight. This fight, we need Blaze, or else we'd be using, like, 2 Fire Blasts. But yeah, clean Gonzap right next to my gold time. Just off it. Would you look at that? Over a minute ahead of record. And a little menu here is Mako to slot 1, a full heal on Tai, and our final moveset. That's Earthquake over Dig. We will use Earthquake exactly 1 time. And by 1 time I mean 2 times because I used it a second time. Anyway, Mako slot 1. We actually need to put it in here now because we won't have a chance to put it in slot 1 going forward. So even though it'd be better if we could do it later, we were forced to do it now. So actually gonna look at our expect count here. On average, I would have 7 here. And I believe I had 9. I definitely have some extras. I remember noticing that I have some extras. Because I think I have 9 here. Usually we'd have 7 or 6. Oh, I did have 7. What? What am I talking about? I thought I had extras. This is tragic. I literally just have the average amount. What the heck? The reason we want to have a Shadow on the field instead of, like, Plusle is because Plusle would gain EXP, and then it'd level up, and then it'd learn moves, and it'd be really slow. So we always want to have a Shadow instead of Plusle, and Makuhita is a significantly better Shadow to have on the field than Meditite is. Because it draws more attacks to it. Anyway. It's Tai time. The funny thing about having a dead poke in slot 1 is that it causes your slot 2 poke to be slot 1 and then your slot 3 poke to be slot 1. So for the rest of the run until we get a heal, Makuhita's, or Espeon's going to be in slot 1 and then Tai's going to be in slot 2. Normally, I mentioned we sack Maku earlier, and then a portion of the run would be done earlier with Maku in slot 1, and that would mean SB slot 1, Tai slot 2. But because I did this run a certain way, that ended up not being the case. That is 11 out of 11 Fire Blasts hit. Not bad. So, the funny thing about this fight is I remember thinking as this fight was happening, I was literally just praying, like, for the love of God, Espeon, do you have any idea how fucking based it would be if you crit this Absol? Do you have any fucking clue how awesome that would be? I don't have to explain what happens next, do I? I was literally thinking it as it happened. It was so cool. Such a good moment. Normally we'd have to flame wheel it again, and we'd have to watch it use Swords Dance, and it's this whole ordeal. That is 12 for 12 on Fire Blast. Okay, so this next fight has a really dumb earthquake range. Let's see what the spreadsheet says. It doesn't give me earthquake damage. That's tragic. Can I custom the hidden power to ground 100 to make it fucking give me the right value? That'd be funny. Ground 100. Will it work? Nope. Tragic. Unlucky. Anyway, it's basically an unfavored range for me to one-hit KO the Shadow Houndoom here. If I had to guess, probably around 1 in 4-ish, 1 in 5. Oh yeah, I got a funny crit on SB there. That was weird. It would have maybe mattered if I had hit the Houndoom range, but Houndoom was like largely favored to live, and then if it lives, you would just heal off the earthquake damage anyway, so it didn't matter that it was a crit. So like the most likely outcome happened, and then I wasn't like punished for that weird crit. It's all good. So, yeah, I remember I was checking to see how much time I had to save on Evis compared to the record. The record lost around 30 seconds on Evis. I had a really slow Evis. So I had some good time here to like I'm like teetering on the edge of 325 pace right now, basically. So it just depends how these next two fights go, whether or not I can realistically hit a 25. That Fire Blast is 13 of 13 hit. I basically had a decision here, which was I either give Cacturne a turn or I give Credillia a turn. I opted to give Cacturne a turn because if I give Credillia a turn, it uses Ancient Power and it can potentially get an Omni Boost, which would be slow. I think in both cases I died to a crit from either poke, so it didn't really matter which one I gave a turn to in that sense. So I just gave a turn to a Cacturne because it can't get like its move doesn't have a weird secondary effect that can cost me time, so I felt safer giving the Credillia turn, even though it meant I had to use that like Psychic there. it was like slightly safer and slightly slower. Like marginally slower and also like marginally safer. Pretty like insignificant little thing I did that I felt weird about. But it was like I die to a crit from both. It's like, you know, I think I'm more favored to live a character and crit, so it was just like a safety play. Where like I'm more favored to live this crit, plus I can't get a weird fucking Omni boost. So these last two fights are awkward because the combos are random and their switch-ins are also partially random. And then their item uses are also random. NASCAR is mostly like samey. It's sort of just like, when does Gardevoir come out? If Gardevoir's out early, it can be awkward. If he uses X-Specs with Gardevoir on the field, it can be awkward. Like a number of things can go wrong, but generally NASCAR is pretty safe. I ended up getting a pretty good combo. I was very happy with this combo I got. Tie Blaze is a pretty safe combo just because you can switch in Typhlosion right away. Some combos require you to, like... Did I have to do a switch in? I actually feel like I did. I feel like I did have to switch in Medi. Now that I think about it, I think I swapped Medi in here. I feel like I'm gaslighting you guys and that I did switch in Medi. I did. That's right. Most combos require a Medi switch. There's some that, like, don't. I think I'm getting it backwards. I think it's early Gardevoir is send out Tie, so they're slightly faster, but they're riskier. And then late Guardy is like safer but slower. Like I said, I was happy with this combo. It was pretty whatever, like totally average NASCAR fight. My special attack on Typhlosion was such that I can guaranteed Oko the Xatu. And also, I just barely outspeed it. I think it's actually random whether or not it was Gardevoir or Xatu switch in here, and it was very beneficial for me that it was Xatu to switch in. Because it means I can kill it with Blast, and then Gardevoir is the last poke on the field where it can't wreak much havoc. That is 14 of 14 Fire Blasts. One more to go. So, I don't know if anyone cares. I felt it was pretty obvious when I was making a joke about it at the time. We only missed one move all run, and it was not a Fire Blast. This Fire Blast hits. We went 15 for 15 on Fire Blast uses, and missed one Sand Attack affected Psybeam. A big part of why this run was able to finish the way it did. But yeah, we end up giving Guardy a turn here, and it puts us in Blaze. Funny. But yeah, it can be awkward if Guardy gets Expect, because then it can potentially Oko tie. And you're like gambling on living it, which is awkward sometimes if you're like a bad Spadef tie. But yeah, like, I'm like a couple seconds off PB, which had a really good NASCAR segment. Basically, the missed Houndoom range like hurt a bit, and then the slowish NASCAR, and then the Absol crit like made up for a significant margin of that. Like Absol crit like made up for missing Houndoom range, and then NASCAR fight was just mid. So as you can see, the previous record is a 3:27:12, and I am 1 minute and 10 seconds ahead of it. So literally teetering on the edge of 3:25 pace. Like, But the record actually got a slow Evis and lost about 30 seconds. As you can see in the PB to gold, my PB was like 34 seconds off my gold. 33. And funny enough, I actually got a terrible Evis lead. I think this is the worst Evis lead. Like the slowest. But the funny thing about Evis leads is that Evis uses random X attacks, and if he uses them turn 1 with this lead, it changes the slowest lead into being tied for the fastest lead. So, with one lucky X attack use, the gods turned the worst Evis fight into the best. So yeah, basically, if you have Metatite on the field, it's dependent on Metatite's stats whether or not the Caesar will target Espy here. With Makuhita, as long as Espeon has 11 defense, it's guaranteed to shift to Maku. After an X attack, I believe the math is slightly different because the X attack boosts the super effective damage more than it boosts like regular effective damage on Maku. So it changes the calc a little bit, but I still got the shift, and now all I have to do is not misclick, basically, and the run's done. Can I do it? Nobody knows. But yeah, like even with the X attack, you'll actually see that this combo is still kind of weird because we actually get slacking on the field at the same time as Machamp, which means we just have to eat an Earthquake. The benefits of that is that another Pokemon on his team will also eat the Earthquake, and just so happens to be a specific Rock-type pocket monster that's going to eat that Earthquake. So yeah, this ended up being like a scary moment where like, if I got crit, I would have lost the 325. Which is like, just... I'm too traumatized from XD. Losing runs to crits at the end, that it's a little much for me. Thankfully, Earthquake does a fuck ton of damage to Tai. Or to T-Tar. So I kind of did something stupid here. Juan would yell at me. I used Earthquake instead of Flame Wheel. I should have technically used Flame Wheel. It's basically the same speed. I think using Earthquake cost me like 3 seconds. It's like a faster move choice. And the animations, whatever. Basically, it gives me an SB death animation instead of SB gaining EXP. So it loses like a handful of seconds. It's like it's barely slower. I should have just flame wheeled it. It didn't really matter. At that point, the 25 was guaranteed, so I was just hyped. Yeah, man. But yeah, I think that's the fastest ever Dakeem to Evis. And it's definitely, like, but I think it's the fastest ever Dakeem to Evis by, like, several minutes. Like, at least two plus minutes. It's the fastest round 2 ever. And it should be the fastest any split after Dakeem to ending ever also, if I'm not mistaken. I guess it's not the fastest, like, Gonzap, Nascore, Evis ever. There's been faster of those, so never mind. But you know what I mean. Just like an absolutely cracked, insane, perfect second half. And it ended on a nice round number 2. Literally a second off my gold. Stupid fucking Slowking Caesar. Should have given me the good combo. Unlucky. But yeah, just sort of a mid first half and then a perfect second half. Like, there's some small obvious things that could improve. Obviously, you could theoretically get a similar endgame with a better beginning. But this run missed 0 fire blasts. The second half was not quite literally, but just about perfect. I lost probably like less than 2 minutes to like my golds in the entire second half. Like, just absolutely cracked. I probably lost less than 90 seconds to my golds in the second half, actually. Like, maybe even less than a minute. I'm actually crazy. I lost, like... Because I was just off my Gonzap. I missed NASCAR by, like, 10. I missed Evis by, like, 1. So my second half missed... Venus to Evis lost, like, 20 seconds off my sum of best. Technically less than that because I golded round 2 by like 15. So I technically lost like 5 to my sum of best, if you think about it that way. But like, the second half was basically literally perfect. And it's just, you know, you look at the first half and you maybe say like, yeah, you could theoretically beat that, but like, a 201 Venus with a 4-call nature is like pretty stupid good. Like, 201 Venus is really good. 201 Venus with a 4-call nature is like pretty fucking insane. And then the rest of the run was just perfect, man. Just perfect. Yeah, I have no intentions of trying to beat this. I don't think I could beat it if I tried. I certainly don't have the patience to try. You know, I'm not one to say a record is like unbeatable or anything, but this is about as close as it gets. I'm not gonna be playing this anytime soon. Thank you for the raid. Poor timing though. Sorry, bro. You just came into for the stat check.